Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. Now, in September 2022, I was lucky enough to board a flight to Vietnam, where I'd be jumping in swamps, climbing up hills, and taking on one of the toughest challenges with an entire group of incredible, crazy, quirky, amazing, and inspiring individuals who I'm lucky enough to call my friends, as we all went over and took part in SAS Who Dares Wins. Now, with any kind of TV production, they are always constrained to fit the absolute best bits into a short window of time. So as you won't be surprised to hear, there is so much more to these individuals than meets the eye. So on this mini series of podcasts, you get to listen in as I catch up with this incredible group of people. We discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly as it comes to SAS Who Dares Wins, our favorite instructors, our biggest challenges, and also learn a little bit more about what drives them, what inspires them, and how this journey was for them. It's been so much fun reminiscing and catching up, so if you are sitting comfortably, let's buckle up for safety and get in there with today's episode. I'll see you on the other side. There he is.
Hello, mate.
Man, how the hell are you, brother? You're looking well. You're looking good. You always look good, though. I wonder if it's a little bit of a mirage sometimes. How you feeling?
You've been in the heat for too long. Do you know what I mean? You know what? I'm really well. Since coming back, I've just kept that mindset. You know what I mean? Everything we spoke about, everything we learned. And I'm just trying to keep pushing forward, to be honest. And I'm not looking back, to be fair. So still on the training, trying to eat good, you know, just
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Gore-Tex Professional Fabrics. Now, we all know the working environment of a firefighter is filled with challenges. We face serious risks on the job, such as heat exhaustion, burns, physical and mental stress, and we frequently come into contact with high levels of toxic chemicals. Now, I've been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together. So where were you before this then? Because I know when we were over there, you were saying like, you know, you've been training hard for it, but the stuff you'd been through in terms of, you know, starting driving the trucks and stuff like that, you were kind of in like a transition kind of period anyway, because I figured you'd always been big into your training, but it wasn't necessarily always the case, was it?
No, it wasn't, to be fair. I've always enjoyed training. Like my mum's always, that's what she does. She's done that for years since I was a kid. So it kind of like my granddad used to, it just runs in the family, I think, in the DNA. You know, it's like you pass it down a bit.
Yeah.
But I was training a lot with my brother, and remember we kind of touched base on my brother passing and stuff. So after my brother passed away, that was 2013. So I kind of fell off everything, you know. So from 2013 till probably I'd say a year and a half to 2 years ago, I had no concept of time. You know, I was drinking a lot, you know, I was doing things.
I remember you saying it was almost like that self-destruct moment when your brother had sadly passed.
Yeah, I didn't really care about myself anymore. So training was out the window, you know, loving yourself and respecting yourself was out the window, you know. So it's only, I think, a couple of years ago. When was it, to be fair? I think it was after, I was in Sainsbury's. I was working in an online department. This is during the lockdown. So what's that, 2 years? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago. Then one day, I just said, I just didn't have enough of this. Like, so I was like, I need to, you know what it's like with training, trying to get the ball rolling again.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going for a swim. So I went swimming and I never looked back. So I swam for that hour. You know,
what was that fuck it moment though? Do you know what I mean? Because I always say to people like, you don't necessarily, none of us really do stuff because we always want better, but it's always when the pain becomes too much that we actually fucking do something. When we're either like sick of ourselves or we think like the person we've become and like, this isn't fucking me, whether it's for you, like working in fucking Sainsbury's, or what was it about that? Because you'd obviously hadn't dealt with your brother passing. So that had sort of been and gone. And I think it's still kind of in your head now, to be fair.
Yeah,
but what was it about you that was like,
you hit the nail on the head, you know. I'm glad you said that. It's one day I just like, you know, the first lockdown, everybody was overeating and eating junk, and I didn't actually. I was kind of all right. Then the second part, I looked in the mirror and I opened the door one day. My brother's missus come out. She's like, "Oh my God, look at the size of you. My belly was round." Like, when somebody's so used to seeing you a certain sort of, not super fit, but you've always kind of took care of yourself. I'm not saying as a pro, but my belly was
Nah,
like,
yeah,
my
but things
God.
like that, they're always like creeping death, aren't they? I forget what the saying goes. It's like, the habits of the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
when they're just small, you don't really
yeah,
notice them. And because you see yourself every day, it's like a progressive thing until you
yeah,
have that moment of accountability where maybe like you try and put on a pair of jeans from 2 years ago, or a friend you haven't seen in ages sees you. And if you're
yeah,
lucky enough to have somebody around you that's honest enough, because sometimes you can also be around friends who like are like enablers. And I think you spoke
yeah.
about this, like back when it was 2013, you were around people that were also allowing you
To
to
be,
do that shit. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
do
Because
that
they were
shit.
like, yeah, well, you're one of us, Levi. This is all
Yeah.
shit we do. And if you try and better yourself, sometimes it's a bit like, well, who the fuck are you? You know better than me. You trying to say that what I'm
Well,
doing is bad then?
Well, you're right. Well, what my mum always says is, so if you say you always have a smoke with somebody, that's your thing, and you always have a drink with them. So when you trying to bet yourself, they're like, "Whoa, I'm losing my drinking partner here." So
Mm.
not in a bad way. They don't want you to do better, but they're like, "Geez, I don't like this. Like we're meant to be together in this. Like, what am I
Yeah.
going to do when you're
And
gone?"
also secretly, sometimes deep down, they know that they're not massively happy doing what they're doing. And if
Yeah,
you acknowledge that, it's almost
yeah,
like you're shining a light on the
a
fact
lie.
that, oh, you know what we're doing is not great. And they're like, well, stop fucking drawing attention to
But
it
yeah,
because
not
actually,
broadcasting it.
I'm kind of happy in that messy,
Yeah.
miserable middle. Some people kind of, I mean, most people kind of fucking live there, really,
They
don't
live
they?
in that medium, don't they? And it takes a real friend to say, like, say if I was with you and you're like, well, how do I look in this shirt and this thing? And we're going out. It's like, you look like shit, mate. Take that shirt off. Like, do you know what I mean? It's hard to do because we've all been there. Like, you look all right. Do you know what I
It
mean?
is.
But
Yeah.
a real friend would be like, bruv, like, come on, mate. Take them shoes off. They need polishing. Like, you know what I mean?
So
So
what changed when your brother passed? Because was he that person for you, or did you have a different friend circle? What was your relationship like with him?
we always had friends, like separate friends, but we always was together. So you couldn't really say you could say to someone, Joshua, or they'd be like, do you know Levi? If you they'll be like Joshua and Levi. So you always said the names together, like, yeah, I know exactly who you mean. So for us, day to day, you might see people, but it was always us two. We were so close. So no
Yeah.
matter what, it was always me and him. So we was each other's driving force. We pushed each other. Do you know what I mean?
What was the
Without
age gap?
a year and 3 months. So I'm August
Fucking
and
hell.
he's
So basically
April
the same age.
basically. And my nan always says, when I was just a little, obviously I was a bit younger than him, and he was walking around. He said he's walking into the kitchen. Levi, she called me Jello, the Bentley boy. He's there dragging himself on the sofa. He's trying to fight to get to the kitchen. He can't even stand. So I've always I've this is the way to put it. I've always walked in his footsteps. I've always looked up to him. So, after him passing, I said, it's like, imagine you're following somebody's footsteps through the snow and then the footsteps stop. It's like, whoa, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Where do I go from here? It's like, you've got to now find your own path. And it's like, it just ended. And I was like, shit, I'm so used to, not, I wouldn't say following you like a sheep like that, but in a
Yeah, yeah,
positive way,
yeah.
You was
Mm.
my you was my idol. I'd do anything for you. Same way, do anything for me. But you was always my big brother. So as much as we used to get into little arguments and stuff, and I'll be like, and but when he really went, and I'm like, shit, I'm gone. Do you know what I mean? So he would let me win, but really, if he like when he put the pressure on, I'm like, all right, I'm sorry. Do you want a cup of tea? Do you know what I mean? So
So what did
uh,
he do? What did Josh do for a living? What was
Josh,
his
Josh
thing?
was really good at art. He wasn't like me, or I'd even say you, Pete, because we've done the SAS together, where we're
Mm.
very practical people. We don't mind getting our hands dirty, stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
He got a bit of dirt on his hand, and his son's like it. His son's 10, Kyrell. If he got mud on his hand, I need to go wash my hands now. I've got ink on my
Oh,
finger.
no way.
So he was really
Yeah,
good
well,
at
me and
graphic.
you were much more blue collar, knuckle dragging
Yeah,
motherfuckers,
knuckle
really.
dragging, gorillas, going through the jungle. He'll be like, oh, like, somebody's walking. Oh, I've got mud on my shoe. I've got mud on my-" But he was really good at IT. He was into computers, so he done IT tech for ages.
He's a smart guy.
Um, yeah, it's really. People said to me, they asked me in the SS, would you say you're clever? I said, I'm not really clever. To me, clever is like you can just, 9 times 9. Then you can answer things quite quickly. I said, I'm more intellectual person. I can find the information I need,
Mm.
research, resourcing if it's something I'm interested in. But I wouldn't say I'm the cleverest, but he was very clever at
You're
the
very
same
street smart though, and you're also you're a good problem solver. Do you know what I mean? You're intuitive, and I mean you see that in the jobs that you do now, even in like
Yeah,
delivery stuff. You have a logistical mindset. You have the
yeah,
ability to problem solve.
yeah.
But yeah, I know
Problem
what you're saying.
solving.
Some people, and I was the same. I never saw myself as academic. I
Yeah,
didn't seem to think in the same way. But then when I move into the fire service, it's about solving problems and coming up with systems of work and
yeah.
working as a team.
Solutions and
Just fucking in my slipstream, it just kind of
yeah,
fits
and
me.
like working with people, pushing each other, guiding each other. So
Because
then
again, when you
before
think of
the
somebody like Josh, and obviously I didn't know Josh, but
yeah,
sometimes you find it that people that work in IT or people that have been in academia for a long time, sometimes they not always, but they're less socially viable. They don't always necessarily, and he may have been different, but some of them don't necessarily have the same. I mean, you're very gregarious, you're very likable, you're
yeah,
very
yeah,
I mean, even in a group of 20 people, you were straight
yeah,
away building rapport with everybody when we were
yeah.
over
Well, you're right about that. You're very right. You're good at this.
there.
He was he. So we had certain friends that were all together and like people that we'd met outside of our circle, and they'll be like, I kind of find it easier to click with you, Levi, than Josh. Because Josh was really like, I'm just like, yeah, hi mate, how's it going? And he was very like, not straight. I don't know the word to put it, but he would take time and like he wants to analyze what's going on. And like me, I just give my trust to everyone. But I always say I can give you my trust, my respect, my love, but you can always take it back when people mess
Yeah.
you about. But he was very like cautious about who he gave his all to. A bit like the other Josh on the course, do you know what I mean? He's very like reserved. So
You
it's
saw a
like,
lot of correlations in that. I remember when we first sort of got in there, and you said about obviously Josh that was in
yeah,
there, and from the tattoos to the name
yeah.
to there was loads of things where you were
There's
kind
a
of
lot.
like, fucking
Yeah,
hell.
this is, and you know what? I could take it as just it's just another Josh in here, but he's got a broken heart on that side. You have another tattoo like mine on the face on the other side. Your name is Joshua. You're on this course. For me, I'm gonna take this as a bloody sign.
Mm,
I'm gonna take this as a thing to be like keep pushing, and that's why sometimes, man, I got really emotional when I'd done something or he was. Do you know what I mean? It just brought back a lot.
mm.
Just go back to Josh. So before he passed, he started doing tattoos. He was really into stuff like that.
Very
So he started
artistic, yeah.
tattooing. He done a few of mine actually. He done a good few of mine. He's really good because it's like sometimes people in life you could be a barber, but you're not a good barber. You just cut hair. You could be a
Yeah.
tattooist, but you don't know how to draw because
Yeah.
there's no formal qualification. But he was one that was really enjoyed art, was good at art. So yeah, but then then back to the course with Josh and meeting him there, it was a massive thing. There's a lot of things that triggered a lot of emotions on that course. Um,
Talk me through 2013 all the way up to where we are now, because that is a massive age gap. And if you since and maybe you did, but like to have lost yourself for fucking 7 or 8 years, mate,
yeah,
is a bit of a and to actually have made it out of the other side, because you and I have probably been around people and environments that if you wanted to press the self destruct button, you could probably self destruct in
you could have
quicker,
stayed.
a lot quicker than 7 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Access
yeah,
to the wrong people and the wrong places and the wrong
yeah,
substances that and I was there when I was in my early 20s, and it was not a nice place to be. But you seem to come out the other end of it.
yeah.
What
I
happened during
mean,
that period of time?
well, after he passed, it's the way he passed was so sudden. I start there, so God forbid, it's like you coming off the podcast to me now, and then you're hearing Levi's just passed away tomorrow, and you're like, what the hell? What do you mean? I was just with him. We was in SAI. We've done. Do you know what I mean? It was so like there was nothing wrong. So I got home one day. I got a phone call from my dad anyway, and I couldn't understand a word he was saying. He was like, just get home. And I was like, listen, I'll never speak to my dad. I was like, what the fuck are you saying? I can't understand you. He's like, just get home, Josh. So I started running, and I had work boots on, and you know what? It's not like the movies, man. I was out of breath. I couldn't even keep running. So I
Mm.
see this police car. So I flagged down the police. I've opened his driver's door, and he's like, "Whoa, what's up?" I said, "Please, I was in a mess. Like, please take me home, please." Lucky enough, he's like, "Jump in," and he whizzed me home. And there's an ambulance outside, and I was like, "Shit!" So I ran up the stairs, man. I got through the door, and like, they're doing. He's in the floor. He ain't got no clothes on. Because he was having a bath. He was found in the bath, and they're putting the things on his chest, doing the CPR, clear.
Defibrillation, yeah.
The defibrillation, and I'm like,
What the fuck?
what? I'm like to the hospital, man. The ambulance keys. I said, like, and it was a shock to see my brother like that. You know what I mean? It was already that was tough. And he's like, I said, what's happening? Like, and he was like, his heart stopped. And Pete, we're not doctors, but you tell me a man's heart stopped. I'm like, this is serious. Do you know what I mean? And I've fallen on my knees, man. That minute, that moment he said that, my heart instantly broke. You know, you could imagine with any family member, the way my heart just crushed and the feeling in my stomach. I was so scared. I was terrified. You know, I was really terrified. And I fallen to my knees and I didn't know what to do. I was hitting the door frame with my hands. Fucking, my dad was like, don't do that. You need your hands. Like, you know, you need your hands. Don't do that. And I was like, so I call it maternal mode. So I'm the sort of guy, if somebody trips over, a lot of people like to laugh. I'm that guy like, oh, you okay? You all right? Do you know what I mean? Help somebody stand up, pick them up. I'm that sort of person. I
I
don't
saw
really
that, of
find it,
course, yeah.
yeah, funny, you
Saw that
know.
with
I mean,
Aaliyah, saw that
sometimes,
with a few people where you that maternal protective instinct came in.
yeah. I mean, some things are a bit funny, don't get me wrong, but when I see like, oh, that was a bit, yeah, it's like, you know, when you fell over your knee, and I was like, instantly, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, this
Yeah,
guy's legs. But do you know what I mean? It's not a laughing matter
yeah.
sometimes. You can
No,
tell the
you're right. Yeah.
severity between laugh and so anyway, I felt him and he's still quite warm. He's not fully cold. You know what I mean? So I was like, got all the quilts, my little sister's blanket, I'm wrapping him up. So at these times they're like clear, so you have to get off of him. You know what I mean? So I wrapped his legs and I'm feeling him and he's like, he's still got warmth in him. So, you know, in my head, it's like, right, we still got a fighting chance. And they're doing that CPR, they're pushing down on his chest, man, and it's so difficult to watch. And they kept doing it, and I'm rubbing him while I'm there, his legs trying to, you know, warm him up, you know,
Bless
like you
you.
just come out of ice water. And I kept watching them, they're doing it, and then we've seen in this is when it comes to like movies and the only way to describe in TV shows. You know, when the two ambulance people were doing their job, the paramedics, but they looked up at each other, and I saw the look. And they, well, you're a firefighter,
Yeah.
and they looked at each other in the eyes while they're still doing CPR, and I could tell, like, you know, and then one looked at his watch, and that minute, you know, what I mean, like, but hats off to them. They done as much as they were doing it for ages. They went above and beyond. They was doing it for
Get
more than they
time in
needed.
that, mate. Time when you're in those moments, and God knows how many times I've given CPR now, and I've only brought people back. Not me, I haven't, but like I've only
Yeah,
worked with a team where we've actually brought people back twice, and I'm talking we've probably done it
you've done it.
more than I can
Many
count, and
times.
only twice have we ever brought them back.
Yeah,
Honestly, it feels like
yeah,
everything in your mind, and when you're trying to recall it back now, everything's just such a fucking blur, and it was probably it goes on for ages, and
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
like
Your
people
head's
think it is. You know, you crack ribs and you bruise people
you can
because
hear
the
it.
goal is just
Yeah,
keep them alive.
yeah. And the thing is with CPR, it all depends how soon you found that person. To
Mm.
be fair, you know, there's a threshold. You know what I mean? It's
100%.
like being underwater.
So
You got
many
about
factors, mate.
you
So
could
so
drown
so
and have
many
6 minutes
factors.
under, but you could still be brought back. But depending where your brain function is going to be, so
Mm.
it was, you know, so they called it, and I told, and then they said, you know, that was it, and you know, I just broke down. People at this time, people are showing up to my house. My mum just coming through the door. You know what I mean? My grandma, your
Fucking hell.
friends. There's loads of people coming. You know, when you get the phone call, and I messaged one of my mates while it was happening. I was like, please pray for me, sort of thing. He's like, what's happening? I was like, I don't know. He's dying. And so I yeah, that minute, then I just laid with him. Luckily, he had just come down from his missus as well, so he had got the train from Hoddesdon. So you know, I'm thankful that it didn't happen on the train because he could have been
Fuck yeah.
circling the
Yeah,
overground
yeah,
for.
yeah.
So he was at home. Nobody had hurt him, so I was laying with him, just rubbing his face. And I don't know what happens when you pass. I don't know where your spirit is, and if you can see, you know, anything. So I'm just saying, we're here, we're all here. Like,
What do you, having seen somebody pass now? Because I know I had very different thoughts about it until I saw somebody die, and
yeah,
I never used to think about the soul or about anything like that. But and especially when it's somebody close to you, you know when they're not there anymore, and you can
yeah,
see them, and you're like, something that's not them. Do you know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
would look at the person and I would go, well, that's not Josh anymore because
yeah,
I know what Josh is like, and whatever
yeah.
Josh was, he's not there anymore. And that's
Not
when I
there, yeah.
looked at
So
people and I was like, that's just a shell. That's just a bit. And I'm not remotely religious, but I do think
same, yeah.
I'm a believer in energy. I'm like, something that was there is now
It's not
left.
there. It's left. It's something
I
has
don't know
left.
where it's gone. I don't know what's happened. I don't know soul, spirit, I don't know, but something's definitely gone somewhere.
Yeah, and I looked in. I was like, that's why I didn't know. I don't know how it works. So I'm just like, I'm just saying that we're here in case your spirit's still in the room, and you could still be there, but you're scared, and you can see you might, you know, movies when they see the spirit's there and he's trying to touch you and talk to you, but they can't. So in my head, this is all I'm saying is like we're here. So even though I can't hear you, I'm saying to you, if you can see me and you're still in this room while it's just happened, I'm here. We love you. We're here. You know what I mean? We'll never let you go. Like we're right here. You know what I mean? You're
Mm,
not alone. I'm just saying you're not alone. We're all here.
mm,
Mum's here. We're all here. Um, yeah, but that was so hard. And then now, so what happened was there's loads of friends in the area that I grew up in, all outside because we was very. You saw how I was on the course, very caring people, very nice people. We don't have problems with people, especially growing up my age in Hackney. It's easy to be an arsehole and not liked, But we could. Some people couldn't go to all different areas. We go everywhere. You know what I mean? Everybody knew me and Jay. Like you lot are lovely geezers. I mean, don't get on the wrong side. You can have a little scrap if you want.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, I've gone downstairs, and this was the turning point for me and my mates. They've got a drink downstairs, bottle of Courvoisier, and I've got a bottle, and I've just went go 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 go. I've probably done half the bottle in a glug. Like
Mm,
again, I've always portrayed back to movies so people can understand more. In the westerns when they like leave the bottle and they
yeah.
just drink it, and I drank it, and I didn't even flinch. My throat didn't even feel.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything, and I think that was a horrible feeling because I was numb. So
Mm,
you got to think for the past 6 odd years, I was numb to things. So, I became an alcoholic at 23. You know what I mean? It's a young age to be dependent on alcohol. I'd wake up with the shakes. I'm looking in the cupboard for alcohol. I remember one time it was only like ginger snaps, ginger tonic wine. It's like 4%,
yeah.
and I'm there trying to drink this bottle, and it's just not doing it. And but at the same time, I was
Were people
start.
aware of it? Did
Oh,
you still have
people
social circles that you were
people
doing
knew
this,
that I was
or?
drinking heavily, but granted the situation, I caught a blind because I was a mess, and they knew he's just lost the closest. Like my mum used to say, bless her, she'd be like, you know what, it hurts me so much he's gone, but you've just lost your best friend to your brother, like and that's a mother losing her son, not taking it away from her, but she's like, our connection as brothers, she's just like, I feel so thing for you. I was like, no, don't say that because I don't want to take away from anybody how everybody feels, but I think for a long time we was all going through different emotions. My mum, my stepmom, so my dad. So you got was grieving differently. So you got to think. So my stepmom come home from work and found him in the bath. She's opened the bathroom randomly like, oh, sorry, and then he's not responding. So she's called my dad. My dad took him out of the bath trying to give him CPR. I've got the phone call, run home. My mum's got a phone call. So we've all had different parts in this. So all our grief, as much as it's the same, is very different.
Oh, mate, grief. I always say, like, as much as we think that grief, it does go in stages, but it doesn't go in logical stages always. Like people say, oh, you have depression, then you sometimes have anger, and then you go into like closure, but you don't. You fucking jump around all over the place. Like
Yeah,
you'll find something of Josh's. He probably even now, and
yeah,
bang, you'll be straight back into
straight back
floods of
into it.
tears, or you'll
Yeah,
find something else, and you'll be angry that he's not here. And we
yeah,
jump around all over the place. And when there's so
yeah,
many different people all
yeah,
going through that process at different stages, it's
yeah.
so hard.
So yeah, I started drinking a lot of different substances. Don't go into it too deep, but you can imagine.
Yeah.
Um, and I was just like, at first, so what I done was I indulged myself back into work because I worked in events. So it's that, setting up for festivals, concerts, corporate meetings. So, and to be fair, those sort of environments aren't the best for substances. I mean,
They're
festivals
very
don't get
easily
set up.
accessible in those types of
Yeah, festivals
environments.
don't get set up by people that are sober. I'll tell you that now when you've
Hey
got
man, their
40.
job is to help people have a good time.
Yeah, and but I'm always I've got a solid work ethic. So I just put my head down and went to work every day for about that year. So I was drinking at the same time. That
So
first
you
year,
were
I wouldn't say,
functioning. You were functioning alcoholic. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? You
functioning. So I wouldn't, I would drink after work. You know what I mean? As soon as I got back out drinking, and don't get me wrong, I was running on about 3 hours sleep odd. Do you know what I mean? Then I'd have something else to pick me
fucking
back up.
hell.
And so I was deteriorating slowly. You know what I mean? But so where I indulged myself in so much work, after about a year, about 8 months to a year, I just was like, I can't do this no more. You know what I mean? I'm hiding from the fact that I'm a mess. So I came out of work and because I was so busy, when I stopped working, I was like, I just need some time off. Everything just was like whack. Do you know what I mean? It's like a sledgehammer
Hmm.
to my head. I was just like, I felt all the emotions at once, you know what I mean? And it was really hard to deal with. So um again, I wasn't working, and growing up in Hackney, things are quite accessible. I was drinking more, drinking more, drinking more, doing more things, and time was ticking, and it was like the clock stopped. It's like Alice in Wonderland or whatever you're gonna call it. The clock just wasn't ticking. You know what I mean? I had no
Just
concept of
Groundhog Day, isn't it?
yeah, had no concept of time.
Mm.
And then after that year, so now at first I was drinking, and people kind of, you got a benefit of the doubt sort of thing, people know you're going through stuff. So
Well, it's like how long do you let that person have the pity
yeah,
party for? Do you know what I mean? And
and
pity
then I
party sounds
started,
so offensive. Someone's like, "You
yeah,
fucking joking? He's just lost his brother." Yeah, and in 10 years' time, he will still have lost his brother.
yeah,
But
yeah.
at what point between now and
It's
ten
a
years
turning
are
point.
you going to go? Because we'll all be the first one to turn around and go, "Oh yeah, I saw Levi going downhill before he killed himself."
Yeah,
And you're like, "What?" And
exactly. I
nobody
saw
fucking
it.
said, "Levi,
Nobody stopped
you
you.
need to sort this shit out now."
And then so I started pushing people. I was in a relationship at the time, and obviously things started getting rocky. As you can imagine, I drank a lot. I
Obviously,
mean, I'm not saying I'm just a bad guy. It's probably both parts to play. You know what I mean? But I wasn't the nicest person to be around. Started getting angry with family. You know what I mean? And so whenever someone had their arms up, I kind of pushed everyone. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to talk to no one. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone, sort of thing.
what? Why did
Yeah.
you not want to talk to them? Did you think it was pity, or did you think it was
I mean,
you didn't want to open up the wound again? Why didn't you want to share?
I didn't want, because when my mum wants to talk, but then now if I'm trying to be the strong one, so if I break down in front of my mum, she's going to burst into tears. She's going to be a mess, and I don't want to see that because it hurts too much. To be fair, I
Okay.
don't like to see my mum like that, and I'm thinking me not opening up, will stop her from, breaking down and stuff, and you know what I mean. So yeah, I couldn't open up. I just couldn't. And at that time, as a young man, we don't talk, do we? Men don't talk. That was a thing. Well, now obviously I'm a lot older. I'm 34. It's like 8, 9 years on.
Hmm.
I realized no, it's good to talk. It's good to open up. It's good to show emotion. So I was kind of like, and I
What
think
would
with
it have
me,
taken though? Like if you met Levi in that situation now, you're 34, he's 25 or whatever. What would it take? What would you have to say to him or do to him to shake him out of that?
well,
Could you have, or would he have fucking squared up against you or what?
I think at that time they're like, "How you feeling?" I couldn't feel shit anyway from all the substances I was taking.
Okay.
I couldn't feel nothing anyway. I'm numb. My body's numb. It's like, how do you feel? Well, I don't know how I feel. It's only if you're in a gun and you know how you feel. You
So
know,
just feeling in general, the only feeling you would get was negative. So you thought,
yeah.
yeah, the
And
solution is to not feel and numb
I
yourself to the
thought
point you can't.
I was like, this is what was my logic behind it. I was like, well, he's not here anymore, so why should I have to be able to enjoy food? Why should I be able to laugh? Why can I enjoy it and he's not here to it? Do you get what I mean? So I'm like, I'm blocking all these receptors. I shouldn't. That's not fair for me to be feeling that. And why am I laughing and he can't laugh anymore? Do you know what I mean? It might sound silly, but at the time,
No,
to
no, it
me,
doesn't sound silly at all.
it's like, why should I feel happy and why should I get a good sleep and you know what I mean? And I mean, any time. So, for example, if he's younger, he might have got nicked or I got nicked. Nothing crazy. He had a spliff or something. But if
Yeah.
he was in the police station, for example, I feel like I'm in the police station, even though I'm out. So I don't feel free. So when he passed, I felt very closed off too. I felt like, you know what I mean? I
Well,
could
that part of
feel
you had died.
that died. Yeah, it fully had, and I just it crushed my heart. And my whole body is like being, under the ocean with all that pressure. I couldn't take it, and I think
When you
again
say
going
you
back,
couldn't take it, how far did that self destruction go? Did you want to be with him or what?
I I wanted to be fair. I didn't want to be alive anymore. No, I'll be honest with you. The only thing stopping me from taking my life really is that I saw how my family was when my brother passed, and I couldn't put them through that again. That just wouldn't be fair. You know what I mean? The way everybody was distraught, my little
No,
sisters
you're
were
right,
there.
mate.
I couldn't. And as much as you know, I want to do that for me. It was too selfish to. I couldn't do that. They would, where would it go after that? I think my family probably would have ended up. It would have
Mate,
been
it's exactly. I always say when you're feeling that pain and somebody takes their life, it's like taking your pain, strapping a fucking bomb vest to it, and handing
yeah,
it back to your family because it
yeah.
just times it by 10 and pushes it onto them.
And who knows what they would do? They probably would end up. We probably would have been no Delvin and Tills. Probably all done the same thing after that. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? And
What was your brother? What was your brother's death diagnosed as?
they said he had a brain, not an aneurysm, like he had a bleeding on the brain. So they said you
Yeah,
could
an
have.
intracranial bleed, and the pressure builds
So
up.
and you know what? I felt so guilty because I crashed my car a couple of years before, and he fractured his eye socket. His face was out here. He had that surgery and stuff like that. But they said there's a percentage you can go blind, so he didn't have the surgery. So in my head, they said, "Oh, it could have been." This was just them speculating. It could have been an accident. He might have hit his head, and in my head, I'm like, "That's when I crashed my car." You know what I mean? So I'm like blaming myself. I'm like, that's probably my fault. And then the day when he passed, I was in the house and I left him in the morning. and I can't recall. He looked weird, or do you know what I mean? You know, you're trying to process the thoughts. And I remember ringing the doorbell for ages because I left something upstairs and he wasn't answering. I was getting pissed off. I was like, what's wrong with this geezer? I've just left you. Why not? And I remember him coming to the window and saying something. I can't remember what it was now. Did I pass out? Did I? So I'm thinking if I just stayed a bit longer, maybe I would have caught it. Maybe I would have been there. And some people said to me, well, maybe it wasn't meant for you to be there. You wasn't meant to be there when that happened because it was going to happen either way. And me being there, I think it probably would have destroyed me 100 times. Do you know what I mean? To have been
To
there at the
watch it,
beginning
yeah.
of it. Not, I never believe it was his time, but maybe if he did catch it, but you're a vegetable forever, maybe that's not fair either. As much as I would have pushed you around and fed you and changed your nappy, but it's not fair on that person.
Kind of
Sometimes
fucking
I think
quality of life is that, you
it's
know what I
not,
mean?
and after that you can't do that. What do they call it? When you go to uh
Euthanasia.
euthanasia, you know what I mean? And it's even harder, and then it's a
Yeah.
problem, and it's not fair to somebody that's so active, and you
Fuck that,
know.
mate.
So me personally, think of it now. If it was me, and I was gonna be kept a vegetable, just leave me to go at that time.
I'd be 100% the same, mate. 100% the same.
If
And
I'm
it's
not gonna be
always,
able to,
especially with people like dementia and stuff, it's always hard to know when that moment happens because it's such
yeah,
a progressive disease. Anyway, before we get down that rabbit hole, so when was it this moment in Sainsbury's? Were you still, was that the turning point when you went from spiraling down to stepping back
yeah.
up, or was
So
it?
I'd been up and down, and then no. So basically, there's one day I was doing a load of gear, and I was driving a car, and this thing come in my head saying, "You're gonna die now." Me wanting to not be alive anymore. When that feeling come of like, "Yeah, this is your time now," I was scared, and I was like, "I don't want it." Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, of
Yeah.
wanting something so much, he was dying for that BMW. You got it. He's like, "I don't even want this thing, man. It didn't feel good." And he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I couldn't even really talk properly." So anyway, we straightened myself out. We drove up to his, and then he was like, "Do you want some more?" I was like, "Nah." Like, like people say, "I'm gonna start the gym next week. I'm gonna do this next week. I'm gonna eat better." There's this the time when you just, "I want to stop smoking." You can't really put a date on it. One day you're just like, "Boom, there we are." It was
Yeah.
just a switch, and yeah. So after that, I think I started training again for a little while. This is before the couple years ago, but I got myself back into started doing jiu-jitsu.
I
You
was
know what I
going to
mean? There
say
was
you
a
went down to jiu-jitsu gym, didn't you?
Yeah, because I used to train many years ago. My stepdad in like 2007, 2008 in a place called Team Titan down in Edmonton. And I was like, you know what? There's that gym there. Let me go back there. So I went back there slowly, doing cardio, getting myself back. I done a competition in Portugal. Didn't get the win. I was only a white belt, but the feeling of like when we went SAS of walking out there, the butterflies in your stomach, the unknown. So that was really good. And just turned my shit around. And then, but I'd still had a lot of stuff to sort out back with family, friends that I pushed away, people that
I was
I hadn't been
about to
around
say,
to.
what was that like? Because I know listening to you when we had our time away together, you and even we've got sort of a WhatsApp group with the rest of the team now. You are very protective and supportive of the people that are close to you, but I would imagine you've had to change the people that you spent because I had to, from the time when I used to help out with lots of dealings that I shouldn't have been part of. I just had to walk away from so many people that have been around me for years, and
Yeah,
I ended up basically no fucking friends because I'd
yeah,
built myself around friends that just had such poor habits.
yeah. And some friends had those poor habits, but some had good habits. But then I didn't want to hear that time at that time you telling me positive shit, like you telling me, "Come on, man, lift your head." I'm like, just f off. I don't want to hear this crap. And I think they might have just got a bit. They always been there. Some people still stuck around and give me the space to say, you know what, he just needs space to himself. You can't try and cuddle him and be there. Do you know what I mean? Fully on his back. Sometimes he needs to self-realization is the best realization, isn't it? But yeah, just pushing people away. Some really good friends, male and female. And I just thought like I wasn't the best person, and they always gave me the benefit of the doubt. Like, you lost your brother. I'm like, yeah, but that's not good enough excuse for me.
Yeah,
And that's me saying that. I'm like, you know what, the way I
it
was.
needs to be you saying it as well.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not a good enough reason. I know you're putting it down to that, but that doesn't sit well with me. That's an excuse. And I'm not using this as an excuse. I fucked up when I was an asshole and I wasn't a nice person and I wasn't pleasant. And you know what? I take responsibility for that. Um, so yeah, some people are still, we have a little chit chat here and there. They're pleased to see that I'm doing well. And nowadays in social media, I support someone every day. People see a little
Yeah,
story, people see a little post, and they see that I've come a long way and I've made it out the other side. So then anyway, back to the training. So I stopped up for a little while again. So I was on and off with the training. 2016. Oh, then I went to I wanted to get off the drink and that and away from the substances. So the company I worked for in the UK, Showforce, they actually had a hub in Dubai. I sent them this long email. I'm quite good with words when I put them on paper. You know, you're probably the same. You know, when you want to make a statement and say something, you know.
Well, you've got the banter, mate. You're a salesman. Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
don't say that in a horrible way, but
I
you
know
know
it.
how to how to
Yeah,
sell it. You know, and we're all salesmen, really. I mean, if you
we
can't
are.
sell yourself, then fucking hell, what can you sell?
What can you sell? So I sent them this nice email because I'd worked with, and they knew I got my brother working with us before he passed. And me as a grafter, you as a grafter, people always be like, they'll give you that chance. You know what I mean? Because they know
Yeah.
PE's there on time. He don't fuck about. He
Be
gets
good
the
at
job
what you
done.
do and get shit done. You know what I mean? You can be as nice as you like, but if you don't get the job done,
Yeah, not a liability. So I said, like, if there's possible, I can get to the Middle East, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, so they sent me an email back. You saw an email reply. And I was scared to open it. I
yeah,
get like that.
yeah,
I was like, let me open it. And it was like, yeah, you know what? There's somebody just leaving. You know what I mean? He's retiring. There's an opening. If you want to take it, I was like, listen, I'm happy. About a
fucking
week later,
hell,
I
mate.
flew to Dubai, and I was there working at. I was working in Dubai. Like you've got the Dubai World Trade Center. You've got different events happening. Then I went to Qatar, not Qatar, Abu Dhabi, where they do the Formula One, the last race of the season for the
Nice.
F1. And I was running crews out there of like 10, 12, 20 guys, you know what I mean, of logistics. So you might be setting up the team villas, setting up track days, getting all the logistics side sorted, like practical labor, manual labor and stuff. But I was like, this is amazing. I was in the sun. I was waking up every day. I went back to work in shorts. And again, there's no alcohol. There's nothing there for me to abuse myself except get yourself back on track, eating good. So I was there, but then I was going back and forth. So I'll be there for a month, come back for a week, go back. And it was lovely. I was like, man, this traveling thing is amazing. I'm getting paid to
Yeah.
get on the airplane. That straightened me out. And then again, I'm still got relationships that are fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bonds have been broken. So I'm still working on that. So as much as life's getting better, I still feel like there's a part that needs to be fixed, and I need to speak to people, and I need to save my peace and like apologize. And do you know what I mean? And sometimes when you realize that you need to apologize to someone, or not just apologize, like talk to those people and let them know how you was at that time. And so then after all of that, I was 2016, 17 odd. I came back because the money they was trying to offer me out there for to live wasn't that much. And I was like, it worked out to about 16,000 English. And I was
Well,
like,
it's
you're
kind of a
paying.
lifestyle as well, so I imagine they can try and get away with trying to pay you less because it's such an
Yeah,
experience as well, isn't it?
yeah. And then, but when I'm flying and I'm getting paid on a day rate and PDs per day, I'm lapping it up. I'm getting great dough. So to try and like now say we're gonna put you on a salary, it'll be Qatari Rials, whatever the money was. They're gonna pay you in that currency. Obviously, it's not gonna match up to the UK base rate. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was just like, the guy I spoke to, Andrew, that was the head of logistics there. He was like, listen, don't settle for less than your worth. If you don't feel it's for you, you don't have to take it. And also, I was thinking, if I'm living in Dubai, I want a nice apartment. I want to have a nice car. It's that sort of place, isn't it? I'm not going to be living 2 hours from Dubai on some back street,
Yeah.
driving a shitty car. Not that it's a problem. I drive a shitty car now, but I'm not for that. I can't send anything back for my family. Anyway, I came back 2018. Started a few varied jobs. Caretaker at Stanford Airport College.
Oh,
Got a
so
new.
you left that job
Yeah,
altogether
I
and
left it. And then I was doing a bit of freelance work when I come back because I talk a bit. I met some geezer and he was getting me a proper rate, like 350 a day. And I was like, 350 a day? You want a 10 hour shift? I was getting about 1,300 quid for a few days work. And I was like, but then again, that was freelance. It didn't last forever, but it was just bringing me back to life. So anyway, I ended up in Sainsbury's because I left the job at Stansted Airport College. It makes a look, it's open, it's online. I mean, it's round the corner from your house, just keep you busy. I was like, cool. So New Year, January the 11th, I think I started there, 2018 or 19, 2019. And I was just still a bit up and down. Do you know what I mean? I started eating a load of shit, but I'm back, coming back. But I started putting a load of weight. And then, like I said, that's when it comes down to that swim that day. I was like, you know what? I just need to get started again. Inside, I know that's in me. Do you get what I mean? When I say
okay.
aspire to be inside, I believe that I've always had the potential to do that. But how do you get
When you
on
say do
that
that, what do you
level?
think? What do you think that sort of person is that you think you have within you?
Well, I've always known it's that dedication, that determination, that fire, that the drive to. Because like I got a few mates that they couldn't do what I do just because the fact they're like, man, I don't know how you do it. You just get up and you just go, and I think they're just lacking that bit of drive, that bit of self motivation. And I always knew I could be somebody. And when I say be somebody, I don't mean famous. I always just knew in myself I could be the best version of me. You know, when you're like, oh, I'm going to be somebody someday, it doesn't mean you're going to be a movie star. It just means you're going to be the best Pete that I could possibly
I was
be
gonna
in
say,
myself.
yeah, you say you're gonna be, you already are somebody, but
You
you
are
want to be a
somebody,
better
a
version
better
of who you
version.
are. Yeah.
And I like all that regimented regime. That's not regime, that's the wrong word. Regimented in yourself,
No, mate, you're
you know,
absolutely right. That they are
a
the biggest
routine,
things I've ever taken from professional sport is that just discipline. And we say
discipline.
we don't like discipline, but actually we fucking love it.
We love it.
Discipline gives us structure, knowing. We like putting structure into our lives because it gives us a place to belong. And I always say to people that freedom comes with discipline as well. People say, "Oh no, I don't want all this. I want freedom." And I'm like, "Yeah, but if you're more disciplined on yourself, it's the more freedom you get in life. Because if you're not
Yeah,
disciplined on yourself, you end up tolerating loads of bullshit. You're not planned. You've not got anything in order. Your money's
yeah,
all over the fucking place. Your life's all over the place. Your
yeah. You're
relationships all over
just,
the place. So you've got to have discipline.
yeah. But you're just neither here nor there, are you? It's like
That's
in
it, mate.
limbo. It's like, what am I doing? So I always knew I had that discipline and that potential to do that. And I was like, whether it's eating 10 egg whites, I could do that. I want to do that. Like, the crazy shit for us is like, we want to do that. It's some people, it's like the SAS. Some people don't want to put themselves through that on their bodies.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'd love to do that. Wake up and eat every 2 hours. Like, wake up in your sleep,
Fuck
go and
yeah.
eat. Like, yeah, that's a bit of me. I think I was like, you know what? I've got to start somewhere. And when you've been off something for ages, getting the hardest bit about training is getting your fucking shoes on and getting to the gym. That's the hardest bit.
Yeah.
Once you're there,
100%.
once you get into that gym, you're like, mate, you're lifting your weights, you're on the running machine, you do a bit of this.
Yeah.
You don't have to kill yourself. I say a little one often, but it's
Yeah.
tying up your shoes, putting your socks on, putting your trousers on, or whatever gear you're going to wear. And once you've got that on, and you leave that house and you head out, because again, like me, even now with training, you probably say when you finish the day's work, and this is something we're switched on now as well. We want to train, we want to go, but then like in the morning, I'm like, right, I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna go gym after. Then as the day progresses, you start getting tired. You do. It's been a long day, and then as you're driving home, you're like, maybe I should just go home and chill out because
That's that fucking danger zone, isn't it?
that's the danger. But your body will always say it'd rather sit down than stand up, wouldn't it? It would rather lay down
Yeah.
than go for a run. It always
Yeah.
wants the
Yeah.
path of least
And
resistance. So
again, it's always such a good salesman. It'll start telling you all oh, mate, well, you've worked really hard and
it
this
works
and that
hard
and the
for
thing
this
later.
one.
And I always
Yeah,
trained in the morning. I've always been, I mean, when I finally got my own gyms and set them up and stuff, like I was a 4 a.m. guy. But before that, the
yeah,
gyms didn't open until like half 5. Because
yeah,
I always used to say that my afternoon session was like my bonus session. If I wanted it,
yeah.
I could take it or I could
I
leave
can
it. But
take
I
it.
always got the morning done first because that was the
Mm.
victory. And also, the problem with the rest of the day is, and you'll know this now with deliveries and stuff like that, is the rest of the world will start fucking screaming at you what the priority is, and
Yeah,
it will start claiming parts of your day, and
part of your
it will
day.
start telling you that your shit's not important, and just
Yeah,
starts giving you all these priorities. Whereas for me, when
yeah,
I wake up in the morning, selfish as it sounds, I mean I've got kids and horses and dogs and all this sort of shit, but I am
yeah,
my number one fucking priority in the morning.
yeah. You are.
I get
It's
up and
like,
box myself off, and then
yeah.
then the rest
And
of the
then I'll
day
give
can have me.
myself to. It's like my mum always says the same thing in the sense of when you get paid, she's like, I'm like, yeah, but I have to pay these bills. She said, no, 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 no. First person you pay is yourself. Similar concept. Pay yourself. I don't care if you've got a million bills to pay. You've been working every day. You got up in the morning. You've had to go and do the hard graft. Put a bit to one side, and then you can. I understand. You got to pay the car insurance. You got to pay the tax, man. Yeah, but technically they can just hold fire for a minute. You're gonna get your money, but I'm putting my little bit to the side, and then what's left, I will divvy between you. But
That's an old Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's might have been
yeah,
where she read that. It was in Jim Rohn as well.
yeah,
It always
yeah.
says pay yourself
Pay
first. Always
yourself.
pay yourself first.
So again, back to the gym. I love the early starts as well. But then when I started the lorry driving, I start at 5, or I could start at 4. So I'm thinking technically, if I start at 4 in the morning, or I leave, sorry, not start at 4, I leave my house at 4 in the morning, start for 5, or some jobs are starting 3:30. So the morning kind of it was really difficult when you've done a long day to try and do that morning shift in between. And I like to have a good session. I don't like that rushed.
No,
I'm looking at the
yeah,
time. So now I'm like, you know what? Like I said, sometimes your body's like, nah, don't go gym. Go and eat a bag of crisps. Go and have some chips, man. Feed yourself. Oh, that's what you said.
yeah.
Excuses. Like you haven't eaten enough today though to go gym. Listen, I found me. Well, I think I've done well in the SAS things because I started training quite on empty. So I might not have eaten that much in the day, but I'm like, wait, let me go and push my body because as long as you've got some water, you can go quite far. And I
You'll be
think so.
fine,
Right,
mate.
then the days I
I've got
do
it
eat,
tattooed across my shoulders. Stay hungry because I'm
they,
always better when I'm hungry. I'm always
yeah,
fucking better when I'm chomping at the bit.
yeah, it's true. Once you're full, when it's like when you watch boxers and fighters saying no names. Once they start getting their belly full and their fair share, they're like, yeah, they lose that hunger
You're
to
sluggish,
win the
brother.
titles. They're just like they
Become
get
complacent.
complacent. So yeah, so then that it comes back to, I was like, you know what am I gonna do? I thought the gym straight away was a bit too much. I'm always like swimming. Running was a bit too much, I thought go for a swim. It takes the whole weight off your body, and just have a swim.
Swimming's fucking great. Low impact on the joints. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, full body workout. I think I swam for that half an hour and then I just kept going. I wasn't going fast. An hour gone past, maybe a bit longer than that. And I was like, wow, that felt good, man. You come out, you're like, and
Yeah.
especially after swimming, I'm breathing a load of oxygen. And after that, I'm like, I don't want a cigarette. You don't want to, once you
That's
finish
it.
training, you don't want anything bad for your body. You just want some nourishment, don't you?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
want a bit of fruit or you want some water. And you're like, I just felt so much better. I had a little steam and sauna after. And then it's weird because as much as I like a pat on the back, my mum's like, "Well done, like you gone to the gym," and I'm like, stop that now, like, do you know what I mean? It's like not too much, like, well done, you finally got that, too much praise. As
Mm.
much as I like praise and a pat on the back, I get a bit, all right, like I didn't do that great, relax, like,
Yeah, I'm the same as that. It can be a bit of a detriment though, because if you never pause and acknowledge yourself,
yeah,
I'm a bit shit for that, to be honest. I probably take it a bit too far, whereas I never celebrate the wins. I'm always kind of moving on, and that's probably something I need to get better at.
yeah, you move past it. You're like, yeah, well, I won, but it wasn't. Yeah, I could have done better, and you still
Yeah.
like you stop beating yourself up,
The old
like
Tiger Woods thing, when he won his first championship, and his wife tried to throw him a party, and he was like, "I'm supposed to fucking win. This is not
yeah,
something to celebrate. This is not a
you said that
surprise.
I'm
It's an
meant to be,
expectation."
yeah,
And it became the same for me. I wouldn't tell people when I was like, when I did certain
competing
things or I
or
won certain competitions or stuff
yeah.
like that, because that was just on this like self-hatred expectation of having an unrealistic expectation of yourself. But it can push people away.
Yeah, yeah, it does, and you're right. It's that's like me, and again, if I'm about to do, I'm trying to do something or focus on something, I won't tell anybody that this is what I'm training for, or I just like I'm going for a run until that point where I feel I've done it or I've made it or I'll be like, oh, you know what, I just went and done the competition. And they're like, what? Why didn't you say nothing? I'm like, yeah, I just. And second things, I don't like people because not everybody you tell things to have your best interest. So I don't want
Fuck
people
no.
speaking my shit into existence, or I just want to focus on me getting there and doing my best. And if
I
people are
like
talking about
social
it,
accountability in a group of people that are like yourself. Do you know what I mean? I
yeah,
have a very closed group of people where we encourage. Like if you message me and you're like, "Oh, I've just got this PB," or if you said, "Oh, I've just got a raise," or "I've just got a bonus," or whatever, I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, absolutely, high five. Let's support that." Whereas some people would be
yeah,
like, "Oh right, yeah, better than
yeah.
me," or
Well,
they're
they're like, oh
like,
yeah,
people
nice one.
people
And then
don't want to hear you doing well.
no, they don't. People don't like to know that you're doing better than them. And it's not because that saying to me before I left. I was like, man, I said I'm the best GA in it. It's a general assistant in the online. I said I'm the best. I work the hardest. Like I do my. I said I'm the best. Yeah, and they're like, I said I'm the best GA. They're like, what? So I'm not the best. I said, listen, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. Mike Tyson, all these boxers and Tiger Woods. If they don't say they're the best in themselves, I'm not saying you're the worst, but I'm talking about myself
But
here.
me,
And
if
I
you don't
believe
believe in yourself, who's going to?
who's gonna? Yeah, people used to get upset, like, well, you think you're better than them. I said, no, I'm just believing in myself. That's it. And I'm saying, not taking anything away from you. I didn't say you're the worst and I'm the best. I just said I'm the best at what I do. You can
Hmm.
say you're the best at what you do as well, right? We're both the best. That's
Great.
cool. We are because there's more. There's great firefighters. You're not the only great firefighter in your department. There's many of you
Uh,
in that service, in the place where you work, that are really great. Do you know what I mean? So
I'd also say there's more than enough to go around. You know what I mean? If just because the fucking world's a massive place in terms of money and finances and opportunities and ways to excel
yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
you should want to be the best version of yourself,
yeah.
not just for you, but for everyone else around you.
And like you said, there's plenty to go around. You could be a model, I could be a model. We can both eat substantially and still do great. And you could be a swimsuit model, and I could be a designer buddy suit model. Do you know what I mean? There's plenty of
100%.
room to wiggle.
100%. So when you started training for this SAS thing, I imagine again, like much like all of us, you couldn't tell anybody. And what made you want to apply for it?
Well, again, I just thought that's. I remember we had a little conversation. Of what I've always wanted to be in the military. I've always, again, down to that belief in myself about the dedicated. Sorry, what did we say when we just had a little chat a minute ago about when we was watching Pumping Iron and
Yeah, yeah,
regimenting
yeah, yeah, yeah.
myself
Discipline.
and that discipline. So I was like, I've always wanted to do that, and I don't come from that military background. So when I was saying to my mum for years, I was like, nah, anything that's with my mum, you might not make it home. They're not really about it. Do you know what I mean? And
So
some
they
families,
they sold you on not doing it.
yeah, some families come from a military background where you was in there, your grandson, your son will, and
Yeah.
that will go on. But out of respect of your wishes, I chose not to. I still could have done it. and I'm not going to kick myself, but I was like, you know what? I've always been a bit of a mummy's boy, and I'm like, you know what? You, I couldn't imagine my mum every day if I was gone. She'd be in bits. I'd probably come back. She's got no hair. She's like, just like, do you know what I mean? You're just a stress bug. You know what I mean? So I made that decision, and when this come off, I saw that my missus was in the bath. She loves the bath. I think she's in the bath now. Um, she was in the bath, and I was downstairs, and I watched the SAS show come on. And then at the end, he's like, "Do you think you got what it takes to apply?" And I was like, "Hell yes!" I started applying, and I'm trying to get this application done because I didn't want to feel silly, like, "Oh, people like, what are you doing?" I was like, "I'm applying for the SAS thing on the TV show." Do you know what I mean? Not that I care what people think so much, but it's
But
like
even with your partner?
I just no, not she'll think I'm silly, but I just got a bit of thing like, you know what? Let me just fill it out to myself, keep it to myself, because I don't know if I'm even going to get it anyway. So I'm filling it out
Yeah.
quickly, and I could hear her starting getting out of the bath. So I'm trying to finish the rest of this
It's a
application.
fucking long application as well.
Yeah,
Well, it
you know,
depends what,
like
when you
this,
get to the final bits, there's bloody pages and pages
the
of it, isn't
pages. So I managed to do that before she's come down. I haven't said anything. Now I've got an email saying thanks for applying. I'm like, yeah, man. So anyway, why I wanted to apply is because that's where I've always wanted to be, and I believe, you know what, I can. I'm the sort of guy when I've done the jiu-jitsu, I like to throw myself in the deep end. So the jiu-jitsu, people are like, why don't you do a local competition? Why are you going to Portugal for the Europeans? I'm like, well, fuck yeah. Why am I going to go to a little shitty one around the corner? Not shitty, but I might as well go straight to the ocean if I'm going to have a swim and jump in. Why am I going to the little 1 meter pool?
it? Wow.
So I thought, you know what? Let me see. And my brother was showing me that. Don't tell anybody until you're in. Nothing certified until you've got that email or that message
Yeah.
saying you've got. And even then, until you show up that day into the workplace, that's when you've got it. Because you could say you've got the job, Pete, and any variable could happen. And
Mean
it's not the
nothing.
best way of thinking of things, but I was always optimistic. Like, no, I've got it. And then I used to get really let down when things
Yeah.
fell out, didn't fall into place.
I always say don't be naively optimistic. Hope for the best, but also expect the worst. And that doesn't mean you're a pessimist. It just means you're a
Yeah,
bit more of a realist.
yeah.
It means you protect yourself from getting a bit too hurt sometimes.
Yeah, because you could apply for it could be a new position within the fire service, and you're so close
Shit
and you think,
happens,
yeah, you're
mate.
like,
Things
man,
outside of your sphere of control will just
yeah,
happen, and it's not against you. It's not malicious, but
no,
you just
yeah,
become a victim of it accidentally. You just
yeah.
collateral damage.
So yeah, I was like, yeah, right, let me get into this. And then I got the email saying thanks for applying. And I was like, oh, decent. And then they're like, oh, you've been shortlisted. Because remember, it was over time. It was how long was it? About 5 months,
Oh,
5
mate,
months,
I
man.
kept thinking I was just out of it. I was like,
I
oh, I'm
don't
obviously
know.
out. I missed an email, and maybe they've just said I'm out or whatever. And then
They keep checking.
another few weeks later, you'd get something.
Yeah, checking your junk folder constantly.
Yeah.
I really wanted it, and then I got an email saying, "Oh, you've been shortlisted. Just bear with us." Probably like you. Then it's like, "Oh, come for a fitness test." And I was like, "Yeah." It's like fitness test. I was like, "Right." It's like beat test this, and I was thinking beat test. I ain't done that fucking since school, but
How
I
did you
knew.
find? I think a lot of people struggle with a bleep test.
Yeah, they did. But you know what? I just knew when I go there, I'm going to give it my all, and I have to get past certain parts of it. I had to. I just had to. Obviously, I could. I've not got through it, but it's like, man, I have to. And I said about the SAS thing, the only way you're getting me out of there, similar like your situation, is you're gonna have to stretch me out of here. To be
Yeah.
fair, you have to airlift me out, or you're gonna have to pull me out because I'm not giving up. So the only way out of this, more like yourself, is on a
It was
stretch.
always the case for me, mate. And,
That's
and
always,
unfortunately, I've done it more than once. I've torn pecs before, ruptured discs in strongman things and stuff like that, where I'm just like, my mind is almost completely ignorant of my body. It's just like, we're fucking forward. Forward is the only fucking direction. Point me in the right direction and press play.
yeah, that's it.
And then my body just explodes in the
Yeah.
background somewhere.
You know what? Not being derogatory or anyone, but that's what happens when you put 150% in. I know it's not 150%, but when you put so much in, you're gonna
Yeah.
get injured. Same like the
Yeah,
strongman.
that's always been my downfall, is overtraining, to be honest with you, and not giving my body the rest that it needs. And I do need to be learning that lesson before it gets too late, to be fair.
Yeah. So then I come down for an interview, and I kind of felt like it all like because Katrina, I think it was. So some lady was like, "Oh, no, you're going to come with me for the interview. Once you pass the fitness test, you can go into that little circle, and then you'll get interviewed. If you don't do the beat test, you can continue on, but you're not going to get through."
Yeah.
So I've done the beat test, then into the jerry can hold, push-ups. For us, like we're like, yeah, right, I'll
Yeah,
smash that.
push-ups, kettlebells, sit-ups, or something on it, and
All of
some
that, yeah,
barrel
we'll
carries or
get
some shit.
through. I was just worried about my cardio a bit.
Yeah.
So
I
I
was
got
well
through.
surprised at the amount of people that blew out at like 5 points something on the bleep test, and I'm like, have you not fucking practiced
Have
this?
you
I'm
not?
like, why
Yeah,
would you come if you knew you couldn't do it?
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't going on long runs, but I touch the treadmill every day. Like I didn't, I hate the treadmill. I prefer running outside, but I would jump on the treadmill, and even if it was 10 minutes, and I'll put the speed up gradually, then I'd run faster, put it on an incline, and I was just like, you know what, little and often, I've done a bit every day. It's
Yeah.
gonna make a difference. And then on the day when I got there, I had some old trainers. I'm always in work clothes, probably like yourself. So I don't really. It's been a long time since I've jazzed myself up to go out. So I was like. I stopped and bought a pair of Adidas. There's only 50 quid. You know, like a fitted pair of trainers, like something not
Yeah.
clunky. I noticed one guy had a pair of Reebok workouts on, and I was thinking they're the wrong trainers to be doing a beat test. A
Yeah.
bit too. So these just kind of hugged my feet. So I was like, ooh, when I put them on, I was like, yeah,
You're
jogging
going
about.
now, baby.
Yeah.
New trainers, I'm in.
And then somebody was like, oh, I'm going to take Levi and Katrina come down. She was like, no, 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 I'm going to take him. And I was like, again, I read into a lot of things. I was like, oh, this is a bit strange. Maybe, why do they want me? And I was like, okay. So I done my thing with her. You know, the meeting, the interview thing when they asked you questions, and then we left, and then it was quite a long wait again, wasn't it, to see what was going on? They're like,
Ages, mate. What was the next bit after that? Was it
I think they just said, well,
psychologists or was it the swim? They had to send to a swim,
yeah, I think
or
they
was
said
it?
that, I think they said we haven't forgotten about you, sort of thing. Just bear with us was an email, and
Yeah.
then later on down the line, it was like, right, we need you. I was thinking, can you do a 200 meters swim for us? Like, then I was like, yeah, but Jesus, when's this gonna stop? How many more things? So I was having dinner with my missus and her family at theirs, and I was like,
Had you
listen,
told them yet?
yeah, so now because I've done the fitness test and got through that bit, I was like to my when I got the email saying come for the fitness test, I was like to my missus, look, I got an email saying come for the fitness test. Like, I was like, rah. So oh god, you'll smash it. So I done that. And then they said to go for the swim. I was like, then they said come for a swim, man. So I'm still in the game. I'm still in it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then done the swim. But my little sister works in the leisure centre, so I was like, can I? It's hard to film in a swimming pool. And they're like, just come down
Yeah.
when we've all finished, and we'll just put a lifeguard out there. You just do it. So I got them to film me, sent that to Katrina, to the casting, and then waited to hear back again, wasn't it? And then it was like, right, we're nearly there, sort of thing. We just still got to do a master interview. Jesus Christ!
Fucking hell, mate. That was hours.
They was asking for sizes and everything in between that. Like, what size foot are you? Do you remember what size is your chest and
Yeah.
how
And I
tall
was
are you?
like, we've already sent all of this. I'll send you it
Yeah,
again, but I'm like, shit, have you not got my other stuff? Or
yeah. But I was thinking in that time, so my missus like, well, they can't be asking you all this shit, and
you've got
you
to
know
be
what I
on it
mean?
at some
You've
point if
got to
they're
be.
buying you all this stuff.
Yeah, so went for the master and they're like, try this on. And I think because, like my missus said, probably people spilling the beans too early and talking about it, maybe that's why they kept it so hush hush
Yeah,
and not
yeah.
clue you in about even about where we're going until we got to the airport. Just because people, maybe if you didn't get in, you just, I don't know. Then when I done the master, I was like, my mates did that. I'm saying my mate, my missus' sister's fella. He's like, man, trust me, you got it, man. You got it, you got it. And I still was like, yeah, I'll wait and see. And then when they're like, congratulations, like, we're glad to say that I was quite emotional when we was on the course, but I still didn't have tears, but I felt really good, man. I felt like, man, you know what, I've come such a long, because there was times when, my brother's always been next to me, I can feel, and but I felt like he stepped away from it because he's just like, yes, and also the way I'd been living for the past couple of years, just before this, sorting my life out. Like I don't even throw rubbish out my car window. I put that in the side door, and I drive a lorry,
Okay.
so I see. It starts to sound weird. I drive the lorry, so I see a lot of dead roadkill in the road, and it's horrible. I don't like. I see the fox. I'm like, oh, poor Mr. Fox. I'm like, to heaven you go, and I'm just driving. And then there's a badger. I'm like, oh, poor Mr. Badger, to heaven, straight to heaven. I was thinking to myself, if they're to heaven and they're going there, God's like, can you please stop sending so many foxes and badgers up here? You got enough. So, and that's something in myself. You don't need to tell everybody these little intimate bits, but
Yeah,
it's just
man.
something in myself where I think, well, I'm just genuinely quite a kind person and a loving soul. When I saw that, that's how it made me feel. And I was like, oh, do you know what I mean? And not
Yeah.
everybody's like that. Some people are, whatever, man. Who cares about the dead fox? But I was just like, it's quite saddening, You see a
It
young
is a
little
bit sad,
fox,
to be
he's all
honest.
fresh. He looks like he's just, one's been run out, So
There
it was
was
a little,
Mr. or Mrs. Badger was waiting for that person to come
yeah.
home and they ain't coming home today.
And I think where I lost my brother, for me, I'm looking at like, man, like you said, perfect. Example, that he only went out for a bit of grass and didn't come back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's the little things, and I feel like where I've been living. So because me and my brother used to say something's got to happen for us, in times are going a bit rough and like, but maybe the world, we believe in energy, like you said. I'm the same. The universe hasn't finished. Your scales, like the Libra scales, haven't balanced yet. You're still getting done for when you nick that packet of sweets from the shop or when you was rude to
Yeah.
that person. So I believe I've been living really good and doing my best. And the world's like my thing started to balance out my good versus not going to say bad. You know, we're all a bit sinners, like not in a bad way.
Well,
Do you
of
know what I
course we
mean?
are.
But
That's why we've got to keep making those investments. I mean, I was a bloody Cub Scout when I was a kid, so they always say, doing that daily good deed, and it has to be something that can never be returned to you. If somebody say doing a good deed is like doing someone a favor, that's not a good
not
deed
good
because you're
deeds.
expecting
Yeah,
somebody to do something back for you.
yeah,
There's an
that,
expectation of reciprocity there, whereas
yeah.
a good deed is something where no one knows who you are. They can't give it back to you. They can't reward you. You just do it,
You've
especially if
done it.
nobody knows about it as well.
Yeah. So like talking, so I just felt like my scales are balanced, and maybe I'm a bit I'm in the what's it called? In abundance
Yeah.
of goodness and being kind to people and being nice and talking to people nicely. And my mum always says, when you get in certain situations in life, bad or good, depending on how you handle it, if you don't handle it correctly, the universe will give you that same situation again in a different form and see how you handle it. And then if you handle it the same way, it's like, right, you ain't learned. So we're going to keep this Groundhog Day. They'll keep giving you that same lesson. And I felt like, you know what, the way I started handling things a lot calmer, being more kind, more gentle, caring. So yeah, so that's why I felt like, yeah, everything started working out. And even talking about good deeds yesterday, I was driving home, but I've stopped by my mum's, and there was this car. I think because we've been on the SAS thing as well, and we've created so many bonds, and like, I would have done it either way. But I was driving, there was a car parked on the ridgeway down the side, just that little country lane. You can see this old lady. I hate to use the word old. She was very easy in her 60s, maybe a bit older. She's trying to jack up the car, and I can see it. So I pulled behind her. I'm
Jesus.
in my high vis. I've got out, and I was like, "You need some help?" She was like, "No, you don't have to if you want to." I said, "Well, I pulled over for you. You know what I mean?" So I just changed their tire for her. But I said, "Listen, if you was a big burly geezer, I'd left you to it." I said,
Yeah.
"But you know what? It's the least stuff. It could have been your mum, it could have been your aunt, it could be anyone, your nan on the side of the road." And I hope that somebody would have done the same. So I changed their tire for her, and I was like, "Oh," she said, "Oh, thank you so much." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, because some people do these good deeds you see online now, and they're filming when they give the homeless man money, and they filming it, and I'm like, well, you've posted that online, so technically, if you do enough good, I was saying to the lady, if you do enough good, it will get noticed anyway. But
Yeah.
for you to do something, to have to film it, do you know what I mean? It's you want to do this, like we said, unnoticed. It's unnoticed. That was just
Yeah.
something you've done, out of the kindness of your heart, and I felt really good when I got in the car. So when I do
Because you're
good,
the
and
one that will take the big win from that as well. And what I mean
yeah,
by that is, I always say there's no selfless good deed. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't mean we're all selfish, but I mean, doing nice stuff for people fucking feels good. Makes
yeah,
me feel like a better person.
yeah,
So
and some
you're
people
you're
say,
almost doing it all the time because you're like, I identify as a good person. Like
yeah,
I always say, the emergency services is a great example. People don't join it for the fucking money. They
no,
join it because they like to feel like they're making a difference. They like to feel
difference.
like they're a good person.
But some people, I heard somebody say before, yeah, but when you help somebody, you do a good deed like that, it's still selfish because you only done it for yourself. It makes you feel this. Yeah, that's the wrong way to put it. Like, yeah, I do feel good from it, but I didn't do it just for me. I don't do it, go around doing it just to make me feel better every day, like, like, because I'm a shit person. I do it because you want to help. And then
Yeah.
the satisfaction, that the secondary part of that is, well, I like it makes me feel good.
And it
And
should
I
be though.
feel,
It's your body's natural chemicals. It's a
yeah,
self-perpetuating cycle. You do something good, you feel better about yourself. It makes you want to do more good things.
well, good,
You do
yeah,
more good things for more people, and round we go. Because that same spiral can happen in both ways. If you
yeah,
choose not to help people, deep
yeah,
down you feel like a piece of shit. You
yeah,
identify as a piece of shit, so you don't help people out, and
yeah,
down you go. I believe it works the same in both ways, but it's about you making that small decision. Like you glance that person at the side of the road. It's that split second decision to go,
yeah,
oh, you know
why
what,
not?
shit, they might be fine, but I'm going to stop. But let me just check it out.
Yeah, and also I like to do things sometimes because you can change your perception. It could change someone's perception of you as a whole people. So, for example, for me, being a young mixed race geezer, people sometimes not saying everybody's race or whatever, but they might be like, you only seen us portrayed in a certain light. Do you know what I mean? So when you've done that, you've changed somebody's views on, they don't say paint everyone with the same brush, but you've changed somebody's opinions and views. That you know what, not everybody's the same because you could be black, white, Asian. There's assholes in every culture,
Of
religion,
course,
race.
always,
Yeah,
mate.
and also even like you, not even down to race. For example, you're a big geezer.
Mate, I
So
was 24 stone, 6'5" at my biggest, and people just looked at me and like, fucking hell, he's gonna mug me. Is he gonna attack me? Is he gonna fucking what?
when you stop to help someone, Andy, because you're huge and you come down, you're like, right, I changed your tire for your love. You're all right, like you're not
Yeah,
me. You know what I mean?
exactly,
And they're like,
exactly, mate.
you know what, this big geezer, you're on a normal down the foot, would have just picked me car up, put in his back and took it. But
Just
he was so
bash me on
helpful
my
and
head.
friendly. So it just changes people's views on just because somebody's a solid bit of muscle. Do you know what I mean? It changes so now
It
they
does,
and
mate. Yeah,
also
you're right.
when that woman's left. I guarantee you, she's done something nice for someone on that day, and it's a chain effect.
Well, it's
So
Pay
she
It Forward, isn't it? It's a great movie, articulates it. Kevin Spacey one.
yeah,
It's
it keeps
perfect.
going down. It'll keep going down. It's like you've made her feel good, so she's gonna. Even if it's going home to her husband, and it's like, "Hello, husband." Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I missed
Yeah.
you. Like, it's just a continuing effect. So, yeah, that was
So
really nice.
take me to the course. You'd done all this physical prep. You'd gone through all the hurdles and everything like that, and then it was bang. You're going to get picked up in the morning. You're going to get taken to the airport. What the fuck's going through your head?
Oh man, I was so excited. I was just like, I was trying to figure out where are we going? Where can we possibly go? Like my missus and that they're looking on Heathrow to see what flights come out around certain times. I know that you're not going to see where we're going on there. You can check all that shit. But in my head, I was like, I've got a feeling we're going to the jungle. I had a feeling when I looked at the map of the world, because I was trying to think, how far can Channel 4 push this on Minnow Films? Do you know what I mean? What's your budget? How far can you go? I think we've done Scotland, we've done Wales, they've done the local ones. I was like, it's not going to be Europe. It's coming back for season 8. So this is what's going through my head. I'm like, the last one they're doing now is in Jordan. So I looked on the map. So you got Saudi here. And I was like, oh, we could be going Far East, Southeast Asia. But I was thinking, so anyway, I just left it to whatever.
It was the boots that were a giveaway for me.
Yeah, jungle boots.
So when we got sent the boots, and I knew we didn't have canvas boots, we didn't have desert boots.
Yeah,
So
we
I
didn't
was
have
like, we're either going in a jungle or we're going somewhere really
very
cold.
cool.
That was my two options. I was like, they haven't been jungle and they haven't been somewhere really cold.
Yeah. But with me, I thought, well, the jungle boot, I Googled, what's jungle boot used for? It's like, well, for the jungle or very humid environments. If
Yeah.
we was going to anywhere Arctic, you have to have an Arctic boot or an Arctic
Oh
sleeve. It
yeah,
has to
yeah.
be
But I think we do
certified.
get all that shit when we get there.
Yeah. So where we had the boot, and I was like, well, we'll just go with the flow. Anyway, I picked up, I love it. And again, I was like, go to the airport. That's just that not knowing. The sort of then give me the ticket. I was like, Vietnam. I was like, you go to
Oh
Vietnam. I was like,
shit.
listen, I've never been to that side of the world before. I've never flown that far that way.
I know.
I've always gone the opposite way. Um, so I was just really excited. I just thought, you know what? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to give it my all. Whatever they throw at me, I'm here for the long run. I'm just gonna give it everything I've got. And I was so happy to made it in. Do you know what I mean? Meeting new people. So I didn't have that feeling of like, oh, scared and like I was just waiting. I wonder who. And I think I saw Scott and I saw a geezer there and he already had his boots on. I was like, he's definitely going there. He's
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah. I was like
his
trying to pick people out of the
yeah,
because
I
we
think
weren't
he
allowed to
was
talk to each other. We didn't know who was on, who wasn't
he
on.
was on and he was off. And I think I saw Rosie and Stephen in the lobby bit and they're like, like you could just they could just probably see it on you. They're like, you going thing? I was like, yeah. So that was nice. Yeah, but I was just ready for a whole adventure. Um, yeah, so we got on the plane, we headed off. I was still excited, I couldn't really sleep. Got to the hotel and I was like, well, I'm here, I'm in Vietnam. Yeah, the hardest bit for me, I think, to begin was quarantining. Uh,
Yeah,
for me, I took it as this is part of the game already. This is the show already. In your head, yeah, you got to get in the right headspace from now. Then they was giving us our food, it would come a bit lukewarm, wouldn't it? Or it was cold. I think,
yeah.
was it? Yeah. And then we had that shitty menu. I was eating chicken fried rice 3 times a day, the best thing. I had the chicken noodles, crispy noodles with chicken, and they were like a pot noodle with no water. I was just like, I can't do this. So
Mate, I'd been doing so much strongman and bodybuilding for years. That was my staple diet. Anyway, I was like, I can live off this shit. That's fun.
yeah, I can live off that. So
That's-
the chicken fried rice was getting so boring. You got the spoon and you're like, oh,
yeah,
just spooning it in, and I was like, Jesus. But the best thing was I was ordering the juices. You could get like a
yeah.
lemongrass, peach, and something else. So I was just ordering like a load of juice, a load of food. But at first, I was only ordering one plate of food. I was like, I'm starving, man. I was like, can I order food? She's like, order what you want. I was like, fine.
Yeah, mate, I was ordering loads of food.
Yeah. So and then the 10 days was up, and it was time to go. And I was like,
And that was it. That day and the first day and getting on the boats and
getting on the
and
boat.
also just
Yeah.
seeing the whole gang. What did you feel like when you saw everybody?
Well, when I saw everyone, I thought, wow, there's some strong competition here. Like, there's some strong people. Not that it's a competition, but it's really, I always said to myself, this isn't about competing against others. Military is about working as a team. There's going to be some tasks when you're going to have to pull your own shit out the bag, and it's going to be just focused on your abilities. I knew that. But majority of stuff, it's going to be working
Yeah.
together. This isn't me being better than you or you being better than me. It's just pushing yourself.
I had to explain that to my daughter where she was before I was going. She was like, "What will it mean if you win, Daddy?" I was like, "There is no winning." But I says it's pass or fail. There's no win. I says there could be 10 people, there could be 4 people. If
Yeah.
you look at it last year, the 3 people pass or 4 people pass. I says it's about you can go faster alone, but you can go further together. It's about
Yeah.
going as a team.
Because people say that to me, what do you win? What do you get? Do you get a cash prize? I said, you just get the satisfaction of knowing that you've pushed yourself to your absolute end. And they're like, what? What do you mean? I was like, yeah, just knowing that you've pushed yourself and achieving that. And they're like, for some people couldn't understand it. They're like, oh, you're mental. I was like,
It's an
I was
inside game. It's a fucking inside game. That's
it's
what
an
it is.
inside game, and from when I've got back, I've continued that. But yeah, that first day when we was down, and they're like, you don't know what's going on. Then the little boats pulled up, didn't they? The lady, their
Oh,
little,
I love that.
and you're like, whoa, whoa, get on the boat, you get on. But I wasn't nervous. I was excited to get going because we've been in the hotel. It wasn't like, oh
Yeah, man.
man,
I think everyone was just like charged.
charged. I was charged, but that's the
Yeah.
perfect word. So then they've rowing us down the river, and I'm just looking around like, I'm in the Vietnam River. In fact, it reminded me of Rambo, the one in Vietnam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, and I relate everything to films because I love action films and
Yeah, man.
films about war and stuff. So I'm just like, I'm taking it in. Like, we're like, yeah, man. And then they pulled up, didn't they? And they're like, go, go, go.
Well, you could see them around you when we came around that corner and you see
Oh
the
yeah, up
DS
on
at
the
the
top of
top.
the mountain in that like shiny looking thing, the
Yeah,
DS.
yeah,
We were just like, man, you can see camera crews around. And to be honest,
yeah.
there's lots of camera crews, but you forget you don't even look at them because after a
Nah,
while you're just like, you're too
whatever.
focused on doing what you're
Yeah,
doing. Like, at first I was like, geez. So then they're like, okay, bye, go, go, go. So they
yeah,
made us all jump out the boats, didn't they? And
yeah, yeah,
swim.
yeah, yeah,
And I was trying to do like normal front crawl, but with them boots on, it was impossible. But I swam, we got up, and then they're like, get up the stairs. So once we got up the stairs, and then it was just turned so real so quickly, and I didn't
yeah.
expect it to
Great,
be like,
wasn't it?
get the fucking line, get it, like, what are you doing? Move up, head up. And it was like, we all was waiting for that, but we didn't know it was going to be that intense instantly. Do you know what I mean? It was like an
Yeah.
instant, like, beasting. Like, there was
Oh
relentless.
yeah, I think for some people, because they were obviously all in our own kit, I thought we were gonna get stripped straight away and then change.
Yeah.
But like we were
And then,
crawling around our own, people were smashing their knees and their
mm,
elbows on the
yeah.
steps, and
Because they're like, right, then we got back up the stairs. You took too long, get back down halfway of the steps. And we get down, then you're running. They're like, right, get back up. And he's like, do push ups, do bear crawls. Do it. And you're just like, I'm on top of people.
yeah, I was getting kicked in the head and all sorts because you stood back to back, and then they say get down in a press up position,
Down
and
in the
like
press up
there's
position.
fucking no room.
Yeah. And then the way they were maneuvering around each other, the DSs, like they had that sense of like that spatial awareness, like two would
Yeah,
come
yeah,
through and they would walk around each other, just me. Get that. Then they sent us down the other side of the mountain, didn't they? And
yeah,
then like they were just beasting us. And then when we got back up, it just made because at first you see them on TV. So when you're there now and they're real in front of you, like I wasn't looking directly at them in their face. Do you know what I mean? I didn't feel like I was just kind of looking straight through them.
yeah,
But then
yeah,
after
yeah,
as the time goes by, you start like like acknowledging. You know what I mean? They can see you're here as a person. It's like it's a bit surreal at first, isn't it?
yeah.
So that was the first beast, and then like at the end, you're thinking, all right, we get back on the boats, but then you're like, well, I guess that's it for today. Like, no, 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 no. I can't remember what we done after, but it's like get back. You're
We
soaking.
went back and then we sort of I think we ran to the base, but we ran straight past it, didn't we? And then we started crawling through the swamps and the mud.
Yeah, the mud.
And
Yeah. Is that when we had to go through that little tube this first day? I think
no,
it
no, we
might.
didn't go through the tube. We started carrying each other up because we were still in our own kit when we were carrying each other up and down the roads, and
Is
we
that
kept
when?
doing that
Yeah,
circuit over and over again, where you'd
yeah,
run around all the mud, get through all the rocks, carry people up and down the roads, and then swim. You'd have to get on your bellies and go through that swamp shit.
yeah, yes, yes. I remember that. And I
That was
think that
fucking cool.
I carried Ross and then I carried you, and when I saw
Well,
you,
you
that's
carried me because I think it was Zach tried to carry me, didn't he? And then someone else
yeah.
tried to carry me, and it was only you that could carry me.
And I was looking forward to trying to carry you. I was like, yes, I've got that. Not even, I wanted us to get paired up because I wanted to lift
Yeah,
you up just for the sake. And but
hundred
because you're a
percent, mate. I
fireman,
was like, yeah, give me anybody. Let's go, baby.
yeah, because you're a fireman, you've just thrown me on your shoulder. Fireman's carry. I just felt so safe. I was like, I'm being rescued.
Mate, you were strong. You're
And
strong
then
as
I
a
picked
beast,
you up,
man.
but with you're a big geezer. So I had you on there and I was going. But what it is I wouldn't be able to breathe in and out completely because otherwise your organs start crashing because the weight on your
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
shoulders. So I had to and I was getting near to the end. He was like, "Come on, man, you got this. Just get over the line." And
You
then,
fucking
then
did
I'm like,
great,
"Right, do
mate.
burpees, do push-ups," and you're like, "Jesus, man." And then I think the hard bit was when we got back. You just rinse your clothes under the tap, wring them out, and put them straight back on, soaking wet. And
Yeah, that was
I
weird
don't
for a
like,
lot of people, I
yeah,
think.
putting on wet clothes was horrible.
You dealt with it well, though. I mean, it was only your legs that played up at one point. You got
Yeah,
like sore in your legs, didn't you?
yeah, and I think it the I was gonna say, yeah, it's
That
Yeah, well,
beasting where we'd been crawling around on the sand like, for ages, that was where like sand was in everywhere and it was like
every
rubbing
turning,
sandpaper in your thighs and
yeah, that
shit.
was hard. That beasting was really difficult. But the thing is, what is with me? Um, I I try not to show like if I was in a boxing thing or like when I was younger, like fighting with my brother, I was like I try not to show that I'm hurt. Do you know what I mean? So by the look on my face, I'll keep a straight face. But you might have, say, we're doing a boxing and you've winded me. You know what I mean? I'm
Mm.
gonna try and look at it because if I show that I've been winded, you're gonna attack more, don't you? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've always in life always tried to have this face on where even though I'm hurt, yeah, you can't see that. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think if you could read my mind, there was times when I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get round this another round. I
Really?
think we did the backward bear calls and I had the sandbags on. And I
Yes, I remember that one. A lot of people struggle with that.
I struggled and I was like, I watched one of the one series and the guy was doing the bear calls like that around. I was thinking, come on, mate. And he was like, you're struggling. I was like, that's right. All you got to do is put your hands behind your back. And
It's a
I
total
did,
different muscle groups, though. You know, people don't, unless you've trained that, it's
yeah,
not that you're strong or weak, it's just an untrained area.
you don't train like that, do you? You don't walk through. And because you're the same, you've got big shoulders. So for us,
Yeah.
those
Just
sort of
couldn't reach around
movements,
very well.
yeah, and your shoulders just seize up a lot quicker. Do you know what I mean? The lactic acid, there's not enough oxygen there. They're so tight going around. I've got my arms out here. So,
Well,
but if
that's where we lost the most. I think we lost 3 people on that. It's like
on that,
really fast.
and I'm not being no disrespect to them. I'm not happy that they went, but when I saw a few dropouts, thinking this beast has got to stop soon.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's good. Well, you
I
know,
explained
get rid
to
of them people.
I explained to my aunt, like, and some family members, that the only way to describe it is when they want people to go, they'll continue the workout. Yeah, I
It's
said
not
it's
fucking
like,
rocket science. Just
I
keep
said
it
it's like
going.
you know the Grim Reaper. He's collected enough souls for the day. His bag's full, so he's got to head back. So you know what? He's gonna walk past you. You're lucky today. His quote is made. He's done the 100 souls. So you've caught life. Basically, is what I'm saying. You know, because otherwise, they could keep going until 10 of us drop if they want. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's gonna happen. And if you could read my mind through those moments, I wasn't gonna pull off the armband, but I was seriously saying, because people don't understand you're so out of breath, your lungs are burning. You're not just tired, like
Yeah.
you don't have anything left. And they're like, number 18, get past number 3 and number 5. And you're like,
That was the only thing that like I needed to have a recalibration at that bit because initially I was like, I'm gonna fucking go balls to the wall on all of it. But as you were like, as I started lapping people and stuff like that, it was irrelevant because they didn't know where you were on the course anyway.
anyway,
Because
yeah,
it wasn't like a straight line thing, like do 1 million of these and then do
yeah.
100 of them. It was
And
like
then
just
you
keep
go,
going round and
"Ooh,
round and round and round and round and round and round. So it
yeah,
didn't matter if I was pushing ahead, and that's where I started like pulling back a little bit because I was like, there's no point just keep fucking blitzing round because they're not going so and so you're at the back because nobody well people you could tell people were at the back but they weren't at the back because they
they
were
weren't at the
still
back.
on the grid. Do you know what I
But
mean?
again,
And it was
it
like
comes down to just your personal, you just continuing. It wasn't
personal
about
accountability.
you go
Yeah.
in front of anyone. It's this what these exercises were. Again, there was just that personal. So when I said we're gonna have to work as a team, and then there's gonna be ones where it's all based on your personal. Oh, sorry, my words have gone.
You know what a couple of people really struggle with when we did that swim, I think on the second or the third morning where we
Oh, what was
swam.
the burden straight into the lake? And
Yeah.
who did
Well,
we
was it
have?
you
Me
that
and
dropped back
Stephen.
and helped me with
Yeah,
Stephen? Because
because he was with Stephen. I was thinking, well, he wasn't struggling. You weren't struggling, but you're carrying a whole other man. And Stephen was really there was a
Stephen,
bit of
I
a
don't
panic.
think he could swim at all. Bless him.
No, and you was
He
literally
was a big boy. He
yeah,
was the
and you was
biggest guy
carrying.
there, I think.
He's about yeah, he's over 6 foot, and he's a wrestler, wasn't he? He's a
Yeah.
wrestler. And you was taking him by yourself, and his head was just above the water, like he was panicking, and that makes it harder, especially you're a fireman. So when people are panicking and squirming,
Oh
it
yeah, and they
makes it
start grabbing hold of you, and we couldn't touch
yeah.
the bottom. And
So I
mate,
was like,
full appreciation to you because you recognise that. Because I shouted it out. I was like, guys, we need to drop back and help Rosie and Steve because they're
yeah.
not going to. Rosie learnt to swim for the course. She couldn't swim.
She couldn't swim, and Josh couldn't swim either, really, could he?
No.
So Josh
Uh,
was being carried, Rosie, because remember we used to say, listen, somebody's gonna have to drop back again because they're
yeah.
struggling there. Rosie's being helped. So then we've come across, but I think with us, again, even though like it's a military, it's something you have to help your teammates, don't you? We could have
Yeah.
left him there and they would have pulled him out and he would have just been done. But
Having game
we
over for
weren't
him.
that
Yeah.
type of people. And the thing about that is that's when they made us run through the circuit after that. And we've just used so much more energy.
Oh yeah.
You've just more or less emptied our tank in the water, but then we still got an hour to go. We still got more to do.
Yeah.
So I
That
think
kind of brought out the fuck you in me, where like the people that had just blitzed ahead, because I
Yeah.
was like, motherfucker, I can swim. I can fucking
Yeah.
swim real fast. You want to play that
Yeah.
fucking silly game? I will
Yeah.
fucking
So
blitz
around all
you.
of you.
So then when we got
Yeah.
out of the water, and I probably felt a bit bad for it because there was one or two people where I just fucking steamrolled past them through the
Boston.
crawls
Yeah.
and stuff because
Yeah.
I was like,
Well,
don't be a fucking dick. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
People, learn this lesson because. But there's a couple of people. I'm not going to name any names, but like obviously you hung around in the course for longer than I did. There's a couple of people that towards the end had a real sort of selfish streak, which was a real sadness to see.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that. Even some people when they was doing the circuits and stuff, they weren't doing proper squats. They weren't doing the like they was just doing little bits. And I was thinking, I'm doing my knees, my ass is going more or less to the grass.
Hmm.
And I was thinking, this ain't really fair. I was like, you know what,
Yeah,
buddy, I'm here for myself, and I could do what you're doing, but I want to gain my strength and I'm getting stronger by me doing this properly. There's no point in me coming to the gym and doing little half reps. I'm gonna do my full rep. I'm gonna go all the way down, even if I'm tired, and you're gonna keep going. But this
hmm.
stuff is seen by the DSs. Like we think they don't see stuff, and I was just like, you know what? Sometimes I was like, um, I'm just gonna keep myself to myself now. But
Hmm.
no, but me being me, I couldn't do that. And I was like, I'll forget everybody. I'm just gonna focus on me. But then I'm like, you're right. Do you know what I mean? So,
You were great
but
like that, brother. You really developed some really, really strong relationships with some of the members of the team. Who was some of the?
yeah.
I mean, you and Zach seemed to kick it off from day one.
Yeah, Zach, his birthday's 3rd of August, and I was like, Zach, if we was in school together, you'd just be getting me in trouble, man. You fucking, you know what I mean? You know what he's like? He's like so giddy, isn't he?
He
Where
is indeed.
I'm like, I'm outgoing, but I'm like, Zach, man, he was full of beans. Like, yeah, like,
He is
something
fucking
like that.
out there, party for one, bless
He
him.
is. I was like, you're gonna kiss me? Because I've got another mate. Like, those beans are right close to the
He
face.
was like
Like,
right
I
away.
was like, mate, you gonna kiss me or something? I don't know why
You
you're
were
so
either going to be
scared.
best friends or get in a fight on day
Yeah.
one.
And you know what? We got a lot of really well there, but you don't need to know everybody's story in there. It's only when you have conversations you kind of tap things and things come out. But there's a lot of people in there that I took time with, and you kind of find something you can relate to.
Hmm.
Like we was having conversations, in-depth conversations, and I was like, oh, I like that. Well, where your motivation comes from, and just that energy and how you're switched on, and just in general, I was talking about military and like about respecting yourself and just all different things. Yeah, Rosie that done jiu-jitsu, didn't she? She loved jiu-jitsu. So we kind of
Rosie's a beast, yeah.
yeah. So I was like to her, I'll be honest, if I know a little bit about something, I'll talk my little two pence. But if I don't know anything about anything, I'll kind of listen and hear what you've got to say. And then you had Jordan, Danica. Danica was really cool.
Yeah.
Who else? Scott was a nice geezer. Didn't get to talk much when he was on the course.
Scott, yeah, I had a good long chat, a couple of hours of Scott the other day. You'll hear it when it comes out. And Scott's a really fucking intelligent guy, really intelligent guy. But again, he's got his own story of similar-ish to yourself, some demons to burn there, and
Yeah,
sort of a long line of self-abuse before he'd really hold himself accountable and turn himself around. Because he was a physical beast, when he came on there. But he was his own worst enemy with his goddamn feet, wasn't he?
yeah.
Didn't take his
He was.
fucking boots off, man.
Yeah, he didn't want to take them off. And you know what? I noticed that he would lay down in his wet clothes on his bed. His bed was soaking wet all the time. And I was thinking, we all started laying on the floor and that, didn't we? Because we was like,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
going to let my bed. My bunk is going to be my little sacred place for whenever we do get some sleep.
yeah,
Um, so I was just like, yeah. And then I was just thinking, sometimes I take my boots off. Grant's feet
yeah,
was held together with tape.
yeah.
Um,
Well, man.
they were they were rough. I mean, you was taping up your feet as well at one point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I started early taping my feet more as a preventative measure than anything else because I knew they would break down. I live in boots, in the fire service
Yeah,
with boots and wellies all day long, and I know when my feet are going to start playing up. So yeah, I taped them early, but they held strong. They held through.
yeah, I've still got a hole in the back of my foot now. It's still
Oh,
healing up.
yeah,
Well, yeah, what it was, I found with sometimes I would know not to take my boots off yet. But what I'll do is I'll loosen the laces and pull the each side open. So you just got that more space in there.
yeah, yeah,
I'll loosen all the laces down. Because the reason why I didn't take them off sometimes if it was too early in the day, I know we're gonna get called back out. And if my feet have a half an hour out, when I put them back in the boot, they want us to run instantly everywhere, didn't they? Run into the parade square, run for breakfast, run here.
yeah.
And my feet would be so sore. Like it's like once your feet are really sore and they're in the boot, they're being held together. The minute they get some air and some release, once you put that boot back on and you're trying to walk, it's so difficult, isn't it?
It takes half a mile to bed your feet back in
Bed
again
your
for them
feet
to
back
find
in.
their
That's the word.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to bed your feet back in, and But you know what? Being wet every day, I loved it. It's like all part of what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be.
Talk
And
to
then
me
just
about the challenges that you did. So we did obviously the high rope stuff. We did the bloody waterfall. We did the milling. You did the helicopter. What was your favorite one?
well, I didn't get to the helicopter. I got withdrawn the day before, and I was gutted
Oh
because I
shit!
love,
Sorry, brother.
I love aviation. I love helicopters. I love jets. And I looked at the little video that we seen, and I was just like, oh, my hairs on my arms stand up, like, and I'm
Mate,
like,
I found it hard to watch that. I was just like, because I was still waiting for surgery watching that shit, and I was like, oh
yeah.
fucking hell.
So I think
Anyway,
the high ropes was really I come up there pissed off, man. I really, yeah, I think we all really wanted to do so well on them ropes, didn't we? Walking across the beams on the scaffold, on the frames, and you know what? I think the reason why I was really upset with myself because that was the first challenge that we done, and I just wanted. My little family back home. So when they saw me complete that task, man, you know what I mean? Like, yes, he made it. Do you know what I mean? Like, like I was like, oh,
I
man,
know
you
what you're
just
saying,
wanted
but
them
for
to
people
see.
like me and you, it's no easier or harder for anybody. But I felt like that was the most impractical challenge. We would never do that on the thing.
No, no.
And yeah, when I got into the middle, I don't know what it was like for you. It was bouncing like. I mean, I know climbing up ladders all the time. When I get halfway up, I'm like 18 stone. They bounce like nobody's business, and it sounds like a
Yeah,
shitty excuse, but I was like, I was okay failing at that because I gave my
yeah,
all. And I was like, I didn't think I was going to make it across that, and maybe that was a negative mindset. But when we did the waterfall one, and when we did some of the hikes and stuff like that, I really enjoyed that. And that waterfall
yeah. I
was
was in my element. I was in my element on that. So regardless of the high ropes one, I was pissed off with myself. But you know what? Not a lot of us got through that one, did we? So we were all like together in that. Um, and then the waterfall, I was like, right, fucking, we saw the waterfall, didn't we? And it was like, this is amazing. And then was like, right,
that
but we
thing,
still got
mate, was like a screensaver. It
that
was
was.
just beautiful,
That
wasn't it?
was
Something out of a
that was a
calendar.
Windows saver on your computer, but then the thing is, I'm thinking we got to the bottom, and I was actually thinking, well, we've got to get to the top of this waterfall. Like we got to get to the top of this waterfall. Do you know what I mean? And they beasted us to the top of it, didn't they? Like there was no like, oh,
That
there's a
run was like a secret fucking punisher for some people because that nearly swallowed
a good
Amelia and
few
Scott.
people. Yeah, Amelia was in bits. I just got to a point. I was grabbed her hand. I was like, "Come on!" I was dragging her. I was like, "Come on, just keep going." So sometimes somebody next to you in your ear saying, "Keep going, keep going." It gets you through. Scott,
100%, mate.
the reason why Scott was chucking up because just before we got there, he was eating loads of rice. Remember, we had lunch. I said,
Yeah,
"Mate,
yeah,
you
yeah,
got to
yeah.
put
Oh
the
yeah,
rice
because Scott
down."
threw up on that, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was Scott. So I was like, "That's that rice you just ate." Because they made us run up and then they made us run back down, didn't they? And then run
Yeah,
back, not all the way to that pole. It's like it pays to be a winner, and then we're knackered. Anyway, we've gone back up. I've got my bearings about me. But what I love about that is because I'm not too afraid of heights. But what I love, I've done abseiling before, so I know you've got to get into that 90-degree position,
you
don't
gotta
you?
find that sweet spot. Yeah,
Yeah, you got to find that. But what they do is he's like, right, go back a bit, go back, and they're trying to make you panic a bit. And I was like, yeah, sweet.
yeah,
So then he's like,
yeah.
for me, I watched Rudy Reyes go down it, and I was paying attention, and I was like, man, I fucking can't wait to go down this. Well, that's
That'd be great.
I've abseiled some stuff before, but a waterfall, like, and it's not just you're under the waterfall, you're going through the water. You've got to place your feet.
Yeah,
So I've come down. I think there's one bit you go under it into the wash, don't you? So it's kind of
that bit there
circling
was
back a bit,
gallons just pummeling you in the
getting
head.
pummeling you. So I've got my feet back. I think it's put me to the side a bit, like my whole body's gone a bit sideways. My feet have come
Yeah,
off the wall. So then I've got my feet back and I'm just, with the abseil, come down a bit fast just to get out of that.
yeah,
You pull the rope out and then ah. But you know what? It's so tiring on your arms, isn't it? Even though you're only
yeah,
pulling the rope out,
yeah.
I love that. And then at the end, you swim across in that little bit of water,
I
come
loved
out.
it, mate.
He's like, how did you find out? I was like, fucking amazing stuff. He's like, oh, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake, I didn't ask you. You're not there, like, he's like, oh, not you again. You have to talk, don't you? And you know what they're like? It kills me. I was just like, you get to that rapport with them where you can have a little chuckle and then back to
Great.
seriousness, isn't it? So you're like, yes,
Special, mate. That was a special one for me.
yeah. And then we done the one where we climbed up the mountain and then we had to do the patrol, didn't we? We had the
You
rifles.
love the patrol. You and Zach were fucking all over that.
Yeah, that for me was like, right, we're fucking in it. You know what I mean? I got a big old rifle, man. I'm carrying that to here.
It was you two and Ross, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we had a 3-man team, and at first they're like, contact right, contact left, and the contact comes like contact back. Like, it was like behind us. I think Ross got shot, so they're like, you're down, and it was me and Zach kept going through, and then he was hitting pressure plates, and boom, things are going off like explosions.
Yeah.
And Zach got hit, and then Foxy's like, grab him then. So he's on the floor, and I put my arm under it. his, right, and just dragged him down, running with him. And then I think I carried on going through, jumped through this little thing, and then Billy's come out in it trying to shoot. There's a massive rock near the end, so I've jumped to the left on the floor. But obviously our guns weren't charged, so it didn't shoot or anything, did it? It wasn't letting us.
Ah, yeah.
So, but you know, then they stopped it. Then it's like, you know what, you've done really well. You've actually passed. You saw him come out. You've taken cover. You know, what I mean, you've helped your mate. And then Zach got a bit of because you know Zach and Ross sometimes they didn't know when to keep quiet. Sometimes with the DF, did they?
Yeah, they were buggers, bless them. Kept getting in their own way.
Yeah, not in a bad way. They got in their own way of it. And like, you know, when sometimes you say something, just be quiet, just let him talk. He's like, well, and I think Zach was like, he's like, oh, you know, Zach gone over the pressure, over the tripwire. He said, you know what? He said, you know, just by the skin of his teeth, he didn't notice it. Levi's tripped up. He's like, no, I saw it. And he's like, no, you didn't.
Don't say that.
He's like, you saw it, yeah? And then I'm there like, Zach, please, man, you know, bless him. I'm laughing in my head. I'm like, Zach, man, just Foxy's like, what do you mean you saw it? So he's like, so why didn't you tell, if you saw it, he said, why didn't you tell Levi that there's a fucking tripwire there? And he's like, yeah, he said, this is what I'm fucking saying, yeah, it's not about just you, it's about teamwork. And you remember, he should have tapped me and said, oh, there's a tripwire there. He said, if it was real life, his guts would have been everywhere.
Mate, when we did that, I don't know if they'll put it on the thing, right? We did it. It was me. I forget. It was me. I think it was with. It wasn't with Grant. I was with Daniel. I know I was with Daniel, and I think I was. I can't remember the other two. It's really bad of me, but I know it was Daniel, right? Because like, Daniel got shot.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what you're gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna take him to cover. So I grabbed it like I would in the normal job. I grabbed him by his belt because I was like, belt's nice and solid. I fucking dragged him, right, split his belt open and ripped all the buttons off his trousers. And you could see his face. He was just like, mate, you've just fucked my trousers up.
No, I'm not impressed. We got one pair of bottoms.
And when he got to the end, he couldn't let it go. He did let it go eventually, but he was like, mate, you've completely fucked me. He was having to hold him up and start waddling. Oh, my bless him. It's just, I'd have been pissed off if because we only had one pair of trousers, didn't we?
Yeah.
I just like ripped them open. Like,
bro, mind you, my ones, we were still in a beast.
Yours fell to bits.
Yeah, he was like, do lunges. So I started doing lunges in front of him. I think he was like, and he's like, what's that? I was like, no trousers. And that's the day we was in the sand. So I was crawling through sand. I was sore. I felt like I've been crawling over sandpaper. And, yeah, it got to a point where my whole trousers were open. But you know what? Funny enough, Pete, I enjoyed it because there's so much air coming in. And you know, it was always hot and humid. So that trousers had been ripped down with my whole crotch. So I was like, I'm getting so much more air than everyone else right now. It's keeping me going. You know what I mean?
I love
and then
that,
after that, was it boxing after that? No.
Yeah, man. I think that's when we did the milling. Was the next
done the
day.
milling, yeah. And it's unfortunate because you was doing just fine. It's just when you went down on the knee.
Mate, as soon as I went down on that knee, it just was a funny angle,
wasn't it? I think.
And
because when I was standing behind you, and what happened was you might not record it. You didn't just go down on the knee because when I've done jiu-jitsu before, I've done that, and my foot was in one place, but my knee kind of went in a bit. So it didn't just go like a 90-degree bend. It was like to the side a bit, and and you was like, oh wait, stop, give it a minute. And you know what, they're like, keep fucking fighting. And I was like, oh, I said his leg's fat. I said it's fat. And it was horrible to see from the back because it was, I didn't know if it was broken, but I thought it might be broken because your calf up to your knee. So when it was in the trouser, it was wobbling on its own, like left and right a bit. So I was like, I thought it was a clean break. You know, when somebody's broken the bone and the leg's just like, And I was like, no, his leg's down. And I don't like it.
That was it for me because I was like, it's not for me to shout stop or anything. And when I did it, I was like, I was trying to like it was like a mental file. I was like thrashing through the files in my head. I was like, can't feel my ankle. And then I tried to extend my leg and I'm like, I can't push off my leg.
Can't push up back onto your feet.
And I was like, and then I grabbed my water bottle on my hip because I can feel all this fluid or liquid in my knee. And I'm like, there's something running down my leg. I thought, am I bleeding or am I was like, nothing hurts, but I was like, what the fuck is this?
So you thought your water bottle was leaking down your leg?
I was just like running through my head, like, what have I just landed on, or what have I done? And then when we pulled my trousers down, I could just see the knee just expanding, and then I'll be honest, like I just fucking broke into tears.
I saw you over there. I was gutted for you, and you know, like they don't even allow you to sort of consolidate anyone or anything.
I know. I could see you all. I know you were there giving that love.
Because You know
Because I was
what?
just like, I know that's it, that's over for me. And
That's
it was such a pathetic way to fucking go out. I was
no, I
not
wouldn't
ready
say that. I
physically,
wouldn't say that.
mentally. I was fine, but
I wouldn't say I was pathetic. I'd say, you know what, shit happens to the best of us, and it was just something that unfortunately happened to you because, you know what, I looked at you throughout the whole thing. I was like, this guy is strong, not just physically, mentally, when it comes to doing the task and everything. And I was like, hmm, I can't see him going anywhere. You know, I can't see. And there was people that I was thinking, I can't see him going. Not that you was a competition, and I was thinking, I need
no,
you
no,
to be
yeah, yeah,
out.
yeah. I was looking at you the same. Like this is somebody I can rely on until the end.
Yeah, I was thinking he ain't going out. He's going to be here. You know what I mean? I was thinking I'm going to leave before
Yeah.
before he goes. And yeah, and I was
Well,
gutted.
it
And then
was. So
the
so after I
boxing,
went, what was happening next? Because you say you still had a couple of days
we still
of
had a few days. So, well, I still had my boxing to go,
yeah.
and
No, I watched yours at the corner of my eye because you and Josh, wasn't
I knew they were going to put me up with Josh
it?
because they already seen we had that bond, and already we had a speaking about my brother was Joshua, and they I knew it, and you know
Yeah,
what, to be fair, I'm glad they put me in with me because if he was with anyone else other than you, yeah, they'd have been asleep on the floor. I think they would have still been in hospital now. He
yeah.
had some blows on him,
Oh
yeah,
fucking yeah, absolutely, mate. He needed somebody that he could take a few chunks out of that
yeah.
wasn't gonna
I
collapse.
respect the fact that afterwards he was like, bro, he's like, like, I didn't go light on you. He said, I thought it would be disrespectful for me to go take it easy because otherwise it's like, what do you mean? I'm gonna take it easy on you. Do you know what I mean? He thought, bro, I'll
Yeah,
give it
yeah, yeah. No.
everything on this. You know what I mean? It'll be unfair. They're calling me fitness. You're a big lad to just be like, oh, I went easy on you. It's like, bro, what do you mean you went easy on me? You should
No,
have
no,
put me
yeah.
all
Yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah.
And you said the same. We're that sort of geezer. So people in the gym will be like, you're a big guy up. Listen, you'll have me any day. You take me out any day. You've got that, that
Fuck
humbleness.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, he was, mate.
Like I'm gonna take everyone out. You know what I mean? I just like to train, and I'm a bit of a big geezer like you, and that's just from hard work. So
Yeah.
I started off punching and that, and then he would hit me. It's like I got hit by a freight train. Hammer, like bang, and then like I was on my feet. I've got quite a hard head because I've hit my head a good few times, and I don't go down, but I see stars.
Yeah.
But I'm not. You're not out standing up for a split second.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I'm seeing stars, and I've thrown a punch again, but that's the last place he was. He's moved from there
Oh,
already.
he's so quick, mate. And he's a professional, do you know what I mean? He's fucking
Yeah, I
good.
watched some of his Insta stuff, and I'm like, is that who they put me up against? And
Dangerous he
then
is, man.
afterwards, like, then things like Billy was like, I've never known someone to block punches with their head. I was like, oh, there's stuff. So, but then afterwards, I went back to Rudy, and he's like, no, you don't fine. He's a professional boxer. Don't worry, you're just fine. I was thinking, now you tell me. At first, you're like, go straight up in the middle.
Well, then they made you go again with Ross because obviously ours ended quick, didn't it?
So yeah, so then they said, anyone feel they didn't do something? So I put my hand up. You want to put her hand up because she really boxed Zach. She was more doing her boxing, and
Oh,
they
she
gave
was,
her
yeah.
a lot because it was milling. It wasn't meant to be boxing, was it? It's not using your
Oh,
boxing.
really?
It's
They gave
so
her
at
the
the
loss.
they
Yeah,
gave
she
her
was
the
being
loss.
strategic about it.
She was moving like she was boxing, but you know what? She was a girl, and I don't blame her for she
Yeah.
should have just got pounded on. Really, let's be real. Do you know what I mean? So not that she's
I
weak, but
think as well, I'm surprised they must have given Zach the win for maybe his aggression, but he didn't control himself well afterwards.
yeah,
In between
he was
my
still hitting, and they're
pathetic tears, he was walking away and he was like, "Ugh," he's fucking
like,
still
"Fuck, yeah,
jacked. And they were
like,
like, this fucking
I see him hit
controlled
him on the head with
aggression.
the gloves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, no, 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 you need to sort your shit out. Switch
Yeah.
it off now.
So then they put me with Ross, and I felt really bad because then I've kind of thrown blows at Ross like Josh just done to me, and I kind of felt like a bully. Do you know what I mean? I felt like somebody should
Well,
pick me up.
yeah, I mean, because Ross had been cut short, but I don't know how much of it they'll put out or anything like that. But I took a few chunks out, and then I had him in a headlock.
Yeah, you had him
Um,
down. Yeah, I remember I was watching it.
yeah, and then he felt really bad because he felt like he'd pushed me over or he'd injured me or something, and that wasn't, it's not Ross's fault at all.
Really, you was on top in that one, and no disrespect to Ross. It's just when you've gone down your knee, you didn't go
Yeah,
down like that because these two was like stumbling, like you said, it was on the floor. It was like a jiu-jitsu, and he's trying to get up, and obviously you stumbling because somebody's pushing you at the same time. It wasn't two people up on their feet, and
yeah,
then you hurt your knee. You know what I mean? It was because you was low to the ground. You still didn't have a center of gravity, and a bit of just hustle,
a
wasn't it?
shit set of circumstances. That's all it was.
So then, so anyway, I found Ross in. I found Ross.
You did. I mean, he sat down, bless him, didn't he? He'd had enough of that
Yeah.
one.
And it got to a point where I hit him a couple of times and he was like, ah, and then I thought the DS had stopped. And I looked at him and fucking kill him. And I was like,
Yeah,
kill
I
him.
was like, fucking, he doesn't want no more.
And then after that, we done. I think when we went to the market, yeah, we've gone down to the market. We've gone to this market. It's like a fruit and veg market, and you've got Vietnamese people. So they made us run down the road, run down this like a real life street now. Run into this market. I've stopped, and Chris is like, right, there's a picture of this guy showing he's like, he's a terrorist. He's in there. You need to find him, take him out, but covertly. So he's handing me the pistol, isn't he? He's handing me the
Oh
gun. So
wow.
put that in my trousers. So now it was like a Tom Cruise moment, like like James Bond, where you're walking through a real life market with people. Just obviously they probably let them know like there's a
Yeah.
but it's like whatever markets near you. So I'm walking through and I'm looking at these there's chickens on the side in cages. Like it was a full blown Vietnamese market. I was like, fuck, this is amazing. I'm trying to look around. I'm looking at everyone, scanning the ladies with their little thing hats on, sewing like the movies where they're just
Yeah.
sewing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking you could have the bomb strike, you could have the gun, you could. Everybody was like hostile to me. So I thought I saw someone, so I played a walk. I seen this geezer, and I grew up in Hackney. This geezer was moving quite funny and reaching something like this, but walking. But in London, people just move like that all the time, and
Yeah, they're just some shady people.
he was going about his business. So I didn't want to draw the weapon until he could be pulling out a phone. I said that to the geezers first. I'm not going to shoot somebody. Well, and he pulls out a phone. And a few people that happened, he pulled out a phone and they've shot. So
Oh
they're like,
really?
you failed because you didn't see what he had. So I was like, I was walking. But remember they taught us to shoot sort of defend your knees a bit. So
Yeah.
my one was hilarious. So I'm walking. Then I've let him reach for something, but I've let him pull it. So I've seen the gun. There's a woman sitting there. So I've dropped to one knee. I've gone on one knee and I'm like, tut, tut, tut. And I'm still holding the gun out like that. But he's grabbed the woman by the throat. But I put the gun to her head. But I'm ready, like, because he pulled the gun out. I put my
Yeah.
went on one knee, like James Bond. I was like, tut, tut. And then they're like, right. They stopped it. They're like, so why did you shoot? And I was like, but the way he says that, so why did you shoot? And I was like, shit, wasn't that? Because they said follow the rules of engagement. I'm thinking, why shouldn't I have shot? And I was like, well, to be fair, I wasn't honest straight away. I was like, he grabbed the lady, he went to grab the woman, but I didn't know he was going to grab the woman until he's grabbed the woman. I've shot
Okay.
before that. He's like, well, what else? I was like, well, pulled a gun on me, didn't he? Rules of engagement. If somebody's going to be a threat to you or your teammates, you're allowed to shoot him. He's going to shoot me. And he's like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, yeah, exactly. And he was like, yeah, well done. He's like, well done. You done good. But when do we watch that one back? It's going to be funny because I don't know who I thought I was. It
I
was
think
just
so many people will be a little bit frustrated because they won't be able to show everything. Do you know what I mean? They'll show a couple from each thing, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to see our own bits privately. But like,
yeah. What I really want to see the most is the stills from all of that. The still photography because
oh
they
yeah, there'll be some amazing photos, aren't there?
I want the photos when we've just come out the water, Pete, and you're like, wow, like you're all out of breath, and like you
Yeah,
dribble
yeah,
coming
yeah,
from your
yeah,
mouth,
yeah.
coming through a mountain, like the beast pictures, not the natural ones where you're just like, hi, like the ones
Yeah,
where you
when we
can
were
see
stood
that
on the
you're
mound at the
falling
beginning.
through mud, you're a mess. Like they're the best photos because it's so natural when you've caught you, like
Yeah,
tired,
that's it. That's
emotional.
those moments. That's when you see the real character.
Yeah, it's what it's like this podcast. It's when everything's real, isn't it? Everything's raw. It's all the emotion.
What happened after that? Because obviously what happened to you?
Oh, so we done the murder ball. So the murder ball was
Oh
in the
shit,
top,
yeah.
run
Oh
down this
yeah,
little
you
bank,
did.
jump into this stream, swim through the stream, then I think line up on each side. And the field is like the only way to describe like a boggy field, like the shit that takes your boots off your feet when you're standing. It sucks your.
Yeah.
And then so they'll throw the coconut in the middle, and they'll call number 3, number 18. You've got to run to it, and you're in two lines like rugby, but parallel. So you've got to try and get past the other person's team. So then it might just be me and you trying to rolling around in the mud, and the mud's already tied you out because you can't walk. Then
Yeah.
you've got the coconut, and you've grabbed me, and it's like, oh. So you've got to try and get across the other team's line. And so
So was it just one on one?
it'd be like number 3, number 18, and then they're like calling another 2 numbers from the other team. So now it's 3 of them on you,
Oh
and then they'll
wow.
call another number after for me on our side. So it's like 3 on 1, and then 2 on 3 on. Do you know what I mean? So it was like even numbers, but after a period of time. So fresh, tired people. Then they got to a point. I think I was running. They called me, and I was running, and then I think it was I can't remember who it was, but I grabbed it, and I'm just rolling over, like literally, I was so close to the line, and I couldn't stand up, so I was just like doing a rolly side, like a roly poly, trying to get to the line. You know what I mean? I got over, and I'm like, bro, down, because we weren't doing so well at first. It was like 3-1, it was like 4-2, and I
Yeah.
was like, I'll get it. I'll team me, get your fucking team together, and you're like, you know what I mean? I didn't have a game plan for it, so. Then it got to a point they didn't put me and Josh up against each other, which I was pleased on that one. Then they called me out, and then they called Grant out, and then they called Hillary out, and there was about 5 of them. 4 to 5 of them just on me, and I could hear Josh and everyone saying, "Don't let Levi," because there's a big fellas on there that, like, I'm not as big as you, but I'm a bit of a burly
Yeah,
guy.
mate, you're unit.
They were like, I could hear Josh, "Don't let Levi up, hold him down." So everybody was like dogpiling me like in rugby. So I was like, I remember I'm quite claustrophobic still. So me being on the bottom of the dog pile, my breathing, I'm already out of breath. So I was like, like that massively, he's going flying. Well, it's not no maliciously, we're in mud, isn't it? Then
Yeah.
I've come down from like a squat position. It's like everyone's on top of you, Pete, and I was like, and I just stood up and like just pushed everybody sort of thing, and everybody sort of, it's like all my energy just to get up, But when I've done that, I've had a bad groin. I don't know if we spoke about it. My groin was
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
sore, and I felt it pull on both sides now, and I'm like, oh, this ain't
Ah,
good. But the adrenaline's still pumping, so I was back on the sideline waiting for them to call me again. And I could feel it twinging, but I was
yeah.
like, right, I still got this, and I'm running anyway. Then we had to. The murder ball was done anyway, so there's like, right, we had to go back in the water and then climb up this bank. This bank was like more or less 90 degrees. And I was like, there's nothing to grab onto to get out of the water. I managed to get up. He made us run back down to where the coach is, then get off. And then obviously the coach dropped us back to outside our compound, but it wasn't that far. So when I've come off the coach, oh man, I couldn't walk. Like I was struggling. My Bergen on my back, Danica had to help me get my Bergen off and on. They done the mic changes and then they make us line up
Yeah, yeah,
outside
yeah,
the mic
yeah.
change. And I couldn't stand up straight. I was like, man. And Danica does yoga and all that, doesn't she? Stretchy, the
Hmm.
queen of stretching. So when we've gone back into the compound, they're like, right, everyone run. So I was taking these little pigeon steps. I was like, oh, every step was painful. So I got in there, I was like, Danica, what stretches can I do to just stretch my groin? She's like, sit in that sort of yoga position. You push your knees down to the
Yeah,
ground
yeah, yeah.
and breathe. Try to do the breathing so you can push a bit further. So I did all sorts. And I was in bits. I couldn't bend, I couldn't stand. Even going up the stairs, I had to hold the two banisters and sort of like use my arms to lift my feet off the floor. So they're like, you should go and get some paracetamol. I said, no, I just need to stretch. I'll be fine. I didn't even want to go to the medic. I was just like, I'm fine. And then Becky was like, they won't withdraw you because remember she had a lump on her side and everything. They'll just give you paracetamol. Rah, rah, rah. So Jordan was like, do you want me to go down and say you need to see? I was duty recruit as well. So she was like, "Do you want me to go down and tell him that you need to see the doctor?" I was like, "She was like, man, you need to, you know what I mean?" I was like, "All right, go on, a bit of ibuprofen, reduce the swelling, paracetamol." So anyway, they called me, and I was like, I couldn't even stand back up. I was like, "Oh, I've gone down the stairs, like, and I'm jogging over there, like some stupid little jog." Seen the doctor, and he's like, "Can you take your boots off for me?" So when you're bending down, I was like, "Oh, I couldn't even reach my boots," and he's like, "Well, lay down for me." So I lay down on the bed and he's like, "Can you sit up for me again?" And when you go to sit up, I was like, oh my God, I had to put my elbows down. I couldn't do a sit up basically to get back up,
Wow.
like it's normal getting up out of bed.
Yeah,
So I was in bits and I was like, I said, look, I'm all right. I've had this before. I just need to stretch for a minute and I'll be fine. And he's like, I just wait there. Like, he said, no, take your trousers off first. So he's feeling around my groin, feeling my belly. So he's like, get ready again. So put my stuff on. He's gone. So I'm waiting for him. Like, where do I wait? Do I wait outside? Do I go inside? He's come back with Billy, the DS. I'm like, this point, I'm like, before they've gone, I'm like, you're fine. Just breathe. You're all right. You're good. He's come back with Billy and they're like, um, the doctor's like, we've assessed you. It's like, like your groin's basically fucked. We don't think that it's right for you to carry on. I just burst into tears. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, no, there's a proportion. Billy's like, listen, mate. He said, look, you still got life to go back to after this. Do you know what I mean? You still got things you need to do, and it's not fair to continue. You're gonna struggle. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, nah, staff, I've got a lot left. It's like you, innit? We've got it's too soon. I was like, I'm not ready. I'm
yeah.
fine. Like, that was nothing to do with me on a whole
No,
and my
mate. Yeah, yeah.
capabilities. And I was like, staff, please. Like, and he was like, he said, listen, you know what? He said some nice words. He said, listen, he's one of our front runners, man. You've done really well. He said, you done really be proud of yourself. You know what I mean? He said, he said, you're winning, even though you come out now, you're a winner. You know what I mean? Same like you, like not that it's about winning or anything.
No, yeah.
You
You
put
did.
your
You showed the best version of yourself. You can be
yeah, he
proud
said,
of what you did.
what you've done. He said you put a lot in. He said, even the way you were with people up in the room, you know what I mean? Like you're a good man. You know what I mean? You inspired a lot of people. And I'm just in tears still. I'm like, you know what I mean? It's the last thing I wanted to hear. And I was like, oh, I was gutted, man. Even when I think of it now, it's saddening. It's just like you, because we weren't ready.
Yeah, mate, it really,
Um,
really, and I've got unfinished business, whether it's this thing or I do something else. I'm not going to set myself on fire and
no,
hurt myself, but I've not fully ticked that box. I've not
no,
exercised that
no.
demon properly.
And then to listen, can I just go back? Because it was tight knit the last bit of us. I said, can I go back up and just say like goodbye? I said, I won't be there. Like we don't really just got to go. He's like, the doctor's like, look, I'll ask, you know what I mean? And he said, go on, we got a minute. So I quickly went up, well, hobbled up there. And I come through the door and they're like, you're right then. How's it? I was like, I just burst into tears. I was like, they're medically withdrawing me. You know what I mean? The first time I seen Rosie cry, I wrote tears come to Rosie's eyes.
Oh,
Give
bless her.
everyone a quick hug. Grant was like, thanks, man. He's like, you really inspired me. Like, it was really nice, you know what I mean? And then I'm sure at the same time it made good TV because, you know what I mean? At the same
Of course
time,
it does,
you
yeah,
were
but
genuinely liked as well.
it's
So
it's,
just
it's
that little
genuine
moment.
as well, though.
Yeah, yeah. When I say good tea, I mean that genuine moment of bonding because everything's about raw and real emotion on that show. It's not about fake, is it? It's about
Yeah, man.
real moments. So I think
Doesn't
where
need to try and be fake. It's fucking
no,
real,
it's-
brother.
and I think you know what, just to even say goodbye, like even just a wave, because otherwise I would have just left the gate and you never seen again. And I was like, well, I only went to what bugged me the most, and I was like, it's like I only went to get fucking paracetamol. You know what I mean? And I've been shipped out. So they sent me to the hospital, had an X-ray, I done a scan, like the pregnancy scan thing, checked my
Yeah,
organs.
I had ultrasound. Yeah.
Yeah, then I had Denny's. There was like they took me out. It was so weird being in a Vietnamese hospital, though, isn't it? Like
It was really weird, mate. There's some very sick people in there, and
there was,
we
and
were
then
very well looked after. But like, yeah, very different to UK.
yeah, very different. And then they wheeled me in. I'm laying on this, but you know what's funny? They put me on the bed, the hospital bed, as they're wheeling me in. Mate, I think you know what? I don't know if it was the same because we had been up for so long. I passed out for a good couple of minutes. You know when they was wheeling me around the hospital, I was just like, that's the first time we actually
Mate,
got to
I
lay down.
got there and I had my trousers off. I had my massive knee, and they went off to go and sort the MRI scan and stuff like that. And like three or four families just like started gathering around me and taking
Yeah,
photos and shit. I don't think
amazing.
because
Because
you
you're
you're very
like,
different looking, and like everyone there is under fucking 5 foot. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
you got this gladiator on the bed in
I was a
army
very different
trousers.
person to them
Like
in a
they're
weird
like,
way.
what the hell's been going on here? So then they've done an X-ray. He's like, I think something come up on the X-ray when they've done like my groin. They saw part of my leg, and then he's like, I've got a massive fracture down my knee. He's like, but your knee's fractured. Like the whole patella is like in half. So I was
Shit.
like, is it? I said, my knee's all right. I said, there's nothing wrong with my knee. I'm walking around fine. So then they've done another X-ray, and I've got all the X-rays. Then they give me that big thing to like you had to wear around your leg.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. Then I got to the hotel and they sent one of their doctors in and he looked at the x-rays on his phone. He's like, no, there's like 2% of people that's kind of got a fracture down their knee, but it's not a fracture. He said, because it's not a brand new fracture, it would look sharp. He
Yeah.
said, look, yeah, it looks a bit brushed. He said, it's like it's old, but
Yeah.
it's still, when you look at the x-ray, it's like that's your knees around thing basically. And it's just like half.
Yeah.
When I was, well, what's weird about that is even though he said it's not a fracture, below my knee, on my shin to my ankle, I can only feel pressure. I can't feel the sensation. Do you know, I can feel that
Oh,
you're putting
really?
pressure on it. Yeah, and it's very weird. And I'm like, well, is it because I was on the airplane wearing the knee brace?
Mm.
Uh, but then again, people are like, oh, but your leg. I said, you know what? To be fair, my knee wasn't that bad. Because it's not something I knew of. It was just my groin. I got medically withdrew because of my groin. My knee, I could walk fine on it. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. I use that as an excuse to get through
Yeah.
Vietnam airport in
Get
a
in the
wheelchair.
business
Because
class.
you went through the airport in a wheelchair. It was so much quicker, wasn't it? It's so
Yeah.
easy. Thank
I
you
was
for showing
fucking
around.
numb, mate. That I didn't really appreciate the luxury because we were really well taken care of and stuff like that. But I was just fucking numb the whole
Oh,
time
you'd have
back.
been. I could imagine as well that you've the way you've come out and your knees damaged. The last thing
Yeah.
you're caring about is me going through customs quickly. It's like,
No, yeah, yeah. And everyone was like, they're like, oh, yeah, business class. I'm like, mate, I'd rather be in fucking in the back with the fucking with everybody,
yeah,
just grunging it through the lakes and stuff like that. I'd swap it anyway. I'd swap it in a
yeah.
heartbeat. But what was it like for you when you go back? How fast have you been able to? Because you're on your feet now. Was it a day or two or?
It was. I got back Sunday morning. Sunday morning, I think I went to my mum's because my brother's memorial, 25th of September. So obviously, I've gone home. Everybody was already at the cemetery. I said, "Look, I don't think I'm going to make it anywhere, man." I was knackered. We were shattered. Like we
Oh
hadn't
yeah.
technically
Well,
rested
it's
or laid down.
freaking 19, 20 hours worth of travel, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. Plus, we we've been beasted every day. You technically haven't had a sleep yet. So I've been
No.
falling asleep on the sofa. I've woke up, the kitchen's got a conservatory, my mum. So I've walked down and there was a bag on the side. I put my hand in the bag, all that stuff. I was like, what the hell? We ain't all got this. Why have you got this? We don't all have one. You know, because they want everything uniformed in the bag. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying, but I'm still must have been half asleep. So I've walked back around the island in the kitchen, the countertop, and I'm like looking for it. I'm like, where is everybody? Like, where is I'm fully awake, but I must have been still in a daydream. I was in a daze. I was in like am I home? So I'm at home. So I'm at home. So I sat back on the sofa and I was like, what? You're at home. I went back to sleep and I was like, Jesus Christ, man, it's like a bit of PTSD.
Yeah.
And then I think the other day, the missus woke me up with she come in the room with her torchlight on because it was dark in the room. She didn't turn on the light. And I was like, yes, sir, yes, sir. Yeah, she had the head torch on. And I was just like, but so Sunday I rested. Monday I was off. My groin, see, my groin, it works like this every time I tear it. I can walk and I can function slowly. If I try and do squats or any serious exercise, that's when it really twinges. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I try and like even now, bringing my knees together hurts. Like as I'm sitting in the seated position, that hurts. But just in general, a torn groin, because it's not like the muscle hasn't completely torn like how your leg did.
Yeah, no.
It's really strained, and you know what? It's a hindrance when it comes to training. But you know, I've
It's a
kind of
partial tear. It's a grade 1 tear. It's yeah.
I'm not sort of just like a grin and bear it sort of thing. I'm just like I just get on with it.
Yeah.
But it's still there. So then Tuesday, I was like, you know what? I need to go and do something. I'm going to the gym because I was like, I need to go. But I've been off work 5, 6 weeks. Remember, I got engaged in August. I was on holiday.
Yeah, shit, you did, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We've done a good few. Then I was off the week after we come back before we went to Vietnam. So I'm self-employed, so I haven't earned anything. So I was like, I need to get back to work quickly, you know. Plus, me and the missus talking about having a child and trying for a baby. So I'm like,
Wow,
yeah,
congratulations.
I don't want to be, you know what I mean, hanging around. Like, let me get
No,
back
yeah,
to it.
shit.
And I'm able to drive the lorry, so it's quite straightforward. Just getting on and off it is a bit of a pain. So yeah, so Tuesday I was like, let me go down the gym. Yeah, do some top half, isn't it? It's like you're still doing the battle rope through the top half. I just started
Yeah,
that.
leg in a splint, yeah.
And I was just thinking, you know, the mindset that we've got and everything that we've done to come back, I'm not leaving it too long for it all to just, you know, just dissipate. So
Yeah.
then Tuesday I went gym and then she messaged me, can you start work Monday, 5 a.m., Wednesday, 5 a.m.? I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So Wednesday I was back at work, went to the gym after on Wednesday. I think I had Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off gym. Went to work then 2 days. It's 3 day week, so it weren't too bad, but I was knackered.
Yeah.
I'm glad, like my missus said, lucky you don't have to do a full 5 days of work straight away.
Yeah.
And then I went gym today, but then yesterday I was like, you know what? I had a burger, an army burger. So I was like, I went on B&Q, got some sand, 220 kgs of sand. You know what I mean? Threw that in there today. I was like, you know what? Again, I think it's because, like you said, it's unfinished business. Like I just feel
Yeah,
like
man.
I still need to walk with my burden on. Like I put that on. It's 2.2 miles to my gym, but it's like uphill, downhill. So I put that on, and fucking 40 kilos of sand in that bag is a lot. So even when I took it off when I got home and put it on the floor, mate, to lift it, to move it, I had to sort of put 2 legs apart and lift it by the handles and sort of waddle it over. And I thought, I just carried that on my back. So
Yeah.
I carried that to the gym, put it down in the gym. It's only like a small gym, like a family unit gym.
Yeah.
And then done my workout, done a really nice. I said, you know what, today I don't know what I want to do, so I'm going to go through just all the machines, going around, done a bit of chest on the chest, bench press, flat and incline, done a bit of tricep extensions, some flies, some biceps. You
Just
know, just
flush
like
the
a
blood through.
bit of shoulders, just work my way down the machines basically. Then when I finished, I put the big burden on the chair. You know, so it was higher up, so I could put it on my back. And the geezer's like, what are you doing there? Like, your business partner. Now I've got sand in there. But I put the bag back on my back, and I felt, right, it's not quite a lot lighter, you know? But it's
Yeah.
still heavy by the time I got home. It was still difficult. And I just thought to myself, if I do that a bit every day or every other day, before you know it, you'll have 40 kilos extra. I was thinking of you, actually. I was thinking, well, I carried Pete on my back. I'm not saying you're an extra 40 kilos. Well, I'm 100. I've lost about nearly a stone. So you think 100 kilos plus 40, that's a lot of walking weight
A
extra, you
lot of
know?
weight, brother.
So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to continue, beast myself, push myself. I could hear the BS's in my head when I was in the gym. I let go of the bar. He's like, pick out the bar, just hold the bar. Do you want to free the paper bar? I was like, lift it, nah. I was like, do you want to be here or do you want to go home? Listen, people must think I'm crazy there because I'm saying it out loud.
No,
But it's
man,
a
I'm the
gym.
same.
You can do that in them sorts of gyms. So I was like, do you want to fucking be? I was like, yes, I do. I want to lift it then. So I was like, lifting weights and I'm just continuing with that mindset, really.
So what's changed for you now? Looking back at the experience and coming away from it, you're engaged. You're trying to grow your family. Sounds like you've made a bit of peace with your brother's passing. This
Yeah,
is like a whole nother rebirth for you.
it is. It's like being reborn again. I think what I've learned is I respect myself. I love myself. I believe in myself. Like I believed in myself a bit like back in when my brother was alive, but then I believe in myself again. I understand I'm strong enough to do things. I've got what it takes, and I think that's the biggest thing is that self belief and understanding.
100%.
You can do anything you put your mind to, and
I feel like you've forgiven yourself a bit as well.
yeah, I would say I was looking at it and I was like, I've made a bit of peace
Mm.
with my brother. I'll never accept it. I'll be honest with you. I don't accept that he's gone, but I'm like, you know what? He must be so happy, so proud of me. You know what I mean? Because what it
Will
is,
be. And you should be proud of yourself.
I am, and I hear his voice in my head, but because we sounded so much the same, if you turn around, we both spoke, you wouldn't know who was speaking,
Yeah.
but I hear him in my head, not voices like that, but and I'm like to myself, is that just me, my brain saying this stuff, or is that him back in community? Do you know what I mean? Because like you
Yeah.
could get that with something, it could be somebody talking to you in your head, and you're like, well, that's just my brain making up just him saying that, or that what he would say. But I think I'm really
Take
chilled,
it, brother. Take it. Use it.
really chilled. I've let a lot of emotion out when I was there. I cried a lot, didn't I? Like I let a lot of
Cried a
tears out.
bit. You cried a bit, but it's good. It's healthy.
Not in a bad cry, like
No,
hysterics,
no,
but
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
good
yeah.
emotion. And sometimes say they're tears of joy of being here, joy of understanding, like what I've gone through, and joys of achieving, and joys of the privilege to be there. And
It was a
you
privilege,
know,
mate.
it was nice to let some tears out. And even remember, I said I didn't cry with my mum and stuff. So I FaceTimed her when I got back to the hotel and I was crying. I was like, rah, rah, rah. And that for me was massive. That was like the
Huge,
first time I've
brother.
shown that emotion in back in 9 odd years. And but funny enough, she was strong. She's like, "Don't worry, you'll be fine." I was like, "No," She's like, "You're right,"
Mate, look, I mean, you obviously you made it further than me and all that sort of stuff. But just as a friend, as a brother, I'm really
Yeah,
proud of you. I think you
thank you,
gave
man.
so much to the group, and even just during this conversation today, your just honesty, your humility, your optimism, your commitment to your family, and also to yourself is just
Yeah,
fucking inspiring, brother. I want to thank you. Just feel privileged for you taking time out of your life today, just to kind of run it
yeah.
back with me and go through this experience together.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I mean, things like this are quite daunting for me. Like, I've never done a little podcast talking like I mean, I talk a lot, you know that already, but like, so at
Mate,
first
you're
I'm
a
like,
gift. You're a fucking
yeah,
gift to people. You should take opportunities like this more because again, I always say to people that we forget with a gift, half of the pleasure is in giving it. So even if you think, oh, I've got nothing to say or I've got nothing, you're a pleasure to listen to and you're
yeah,
inspiring to listen to. So always remember that. Even if you think, oh, it's not landing or it doesn't mean anything to anybody, it really does, and you're making a difference without even knowing it, I think.
yeah. And I think what I really liked about, when you're talking about the podcast and you're describing what we, kind of what we go over, how it's going. I was like, you know what, he must have done a lot of work to understand to know what you're going to ask because podcasting ain't easy. So for you to,
It's not
so
easy, mate.
you're triggering and you're pointing out things that topics we can bring up and talk about. So I thought I'm just going to have to go in there and try and explain everything, but no, like we're going to cover different topics, different scenarios, how you feel. You know what I mean? So
I
you
know
made it.
how valuable this is, and I feel so privileged to be around people like yourself. And I'm like, my job is as a facilitator because it's actually become a rare thing in life where people really want to listen to us and people really want
Yeah,
to allow us to get our
yeah,
point across. That's why I take this so seriously, and I know that over the fullness of time, we'll forget these things, and these things
yeah.
will
You
drift from
will,
our
you
memories, and
will.
we'll forget how special it was. So
Yeah,
I'm so excited for you, for your partner, for your
to
family
see, yeah,
to look back on this in a year's time, in 2 years' time, and
yeah.
go, fucking
And just
hell,
have it there to listen
you did
to.
that, or daddy did that, or I did
Yeah,
that, when you've had your kids
yeah.
and shit.
And I
It's
think
important.
that's another thing about coming back. And my missus is all for me, and I love the fact that she pushes me and she not when does not allow me, but you back me 100% in anything I want to do. It's not you allow me, you back me. Because you could easily be like, "Oh, don't really, it's not going to work for us for you to go and da da da." But it's 100%. But when I've come back and I'm like, I didn't know if I'm going on too much about it and keep talking about it too much. I don't want to become jarring and just keep like my mind somewhere else and all these people that I've met. And do you know what I mean? It can become. not daunting, but
Well, look, man, when this comes out, she'll hear that, and you've been a testament to your family and also to your partner. You know,
yeah,
your love and commitment to her is fucking
yeah,
clearly something that just, if you
yeah.
cut you in half, it'd say family down the middle.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. You know what's funny? When they're like, "What's the most?" When I done the marketing, she got, "What's the one of the most important things?" I was like, "Family." But when I said I was like, "Family," I said I sound like fucking Dominic Toretto in Fast and Furious. I was just
Family.
laughing at the families. Because you know what, we ain't been rich like that or nothing, but we've always ate, we've always had a roof over our heads, we've always had running water, but with us, it's more just that love that we've shared and being a good person. And I could go anywhere, bloody, and go in the local chippy or the sweet shop. They'll take some chips and that, but people will always put their self out to help you, so you'll never go without. So
Yeah.
like that family bit and friendship's so important, and those bonds. You know what I mean? Yeah, it just comes down to that's all we have in this world, really. Being able to help
That
each
is all
other.
we have in this world, mate.
Mind the materialistic things are just.
You
It's
can
just
get money, you can lose money. I always say the greatest effect you can have on anybody is the way you make them feel. And that's what comes
yeah,
down to family. It comes down to connection. Money, you'll win it, you'll lose it. You can't take it with you, but it's the people that you impact while you're here.
while
And
you're here,
you made
that's
an
it.
impact on the group. And I know everyone will really look back on their time fondly with the time we spent with you.
I think that's what Amelia said. She said, "How do you do every morning? Why are you so chirpy?" And I was like, "Well, I'm here with you, I know. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna get
alive.
up. How else am I gonna wake up?" Yeah, and that's I think one of the things that I started doing a bit more of my Insta stories. I was like, "Morning, everyone." I said, "You know what? It's a beautiful day. I'm up. I'm alive. We're awake." I said, "You know what? Today is what you make it." And I think that's the main thing. Just knowing your 2 feet touch the ground in the morning and you've woken, you seize the day, man.
Yeah, there's
Seize the
millions of people that won't wake up tomorrow.
day.
I
Exactly.
say that all the time because I see it.
Exactly. So I think it's just I think again it's just like I found a part of myself that I lost. That broken heart and that day my brother passed, I lost a lot about me. You know what I mean? And now I feel like I would never say I'm the same. I've come back
No,
stronger. I've come back
you've
a different
evolved.
person.
You've
Yeah, I've
evolved.
evolved, and I've come back a whole new person with so much love in my heart and humility and like just empathy. And I just want to take time to. What they said to me when I left is like that Howie, the
Yeah.
psychologist. He was like, "Man," he said, "I saw when you're talking to Josh about blah blah blah." I said, "You saw that?" He said, "I told you, we see everything." He said, "You should go to mentoring or something. You really inspire me. You
Mate,
drive
when you listen back to this, I think you'll be very surprised at how articulate you really are as well.
really."
Yeah, you are, man. When you think about it, you put yourself across very well.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not an act, is it? It's just like it's me, isn't it?
That's
And
it, brother.
sometimes growing up in certain areas, or even like yourself, wherever we grow up, you don't get opportunities like this. They don't just come knocking at your door. Yeah, you can always go out and find some, but you don't get the chance to abseil down waterfalls. You don't get the chance to. You want to go to mountain rescue. Where do you start? You don't know where
Yeah,
to start. You're not
yeah.
taught that. You're not shown that. So I think the big thing is to try and help guide people into their direction and understand that it's not just the normal job you can go to. You be anything you want, and there is a
Look,
path.
man.
You just
I
got to
know you're
find.
gonna go on and do some cool shit, and I will be front row cheering you on, mate, all the way.
We'll be in touch for forever anyway. Now, anyway, so
I look forward to catching up, man, because I mean, we won't. With obviously, the people will hear this when the show's out and everything like that. But we are, we've just come back. We've just come into October. People will probably hear this whenever it is January, February, March next year.
yeah,
But
yeah,
before then, I know we're all going to meet up. We've got some cool shit
yeah. We
planned.
got
We're
some
going
shit to
to get
do.
some time
So,
together.
yeah, yeah. It's been a fucking pleasure, mate. It's been
I'm
a
going to send
pleasure.
my love to the family. All right.
Yeah. All right then, my brother.
Love
Well,
you lots,
again,
brother.
we'll catch up. Love you too, bro.
See you,
Speak
bro.
to you
Bye bye.
soon. Thank you, Pete. Bye.
Firefighters podcast is put together to develop, inspire, and hopefully even motivate those individuals who have chosen to serve our communities and be part of the first responder family. It's brought to you by myself, operational firefighter Pete Wakefield. If you have enjoyed today's episode and you want to see the podcast continue, please head over to our Patreon page where you can support the ongoing efforts of the podcast. Please hit that follow, subscribe, or rate button on whatever platform you're listening to. Please support your emergency services responders, and thank you for listening.